try to silence the truth we shout, but we're still here, we're still calling out. Corruption hides behind a badge of name. We light the fire, expose the shame. We're justice seekers, we'll fight the fight for every voice lost in the night. My life mattered is the cry we sing for the ones they tried to bury within. It's just us, we're a movement wide. Together we rise, won't run nor hide. The stories echo, the pain runs deep. For stolen lives we can't just weep. Elected power, but their hearts are cold. We'll bring the truth, let it be told. We're justice seekers, we'll fight the fight for every voice lost in the night. My life mattered is the cry we sing for the ones they tried to bury within. It's just us, we're a movement wide. Together we rise, won't run nor hide. We're justice seekers, we'll fight the fight. The heroes undo the harm, calling out corruption, we'll stand tall for justice and truth, we'll risk it all. My life mattered is the cry we sing. Together we rise, let freedom ring.
Hi there, social change warriors and justice seekers. It's great to be back with y'all tonight on a Friday Night Lies. We have been absent for 2 weeks, and I deeply apologize for that. It was basically beyond my control. Some of you are aware that have spoken to me in email or personally, and I'll share just a little bit of that with you here in a minute. Nothing too graphic, trust me, you wouldn't want to know, but I will let you know why I was absent for 2 weeks. It's the first time since I started live streaming last August that we've ever missed 2 weeks of a Friday Night Live. So I am so sorry. I did my best last Friday, but it just wasn't going to happen. So we are back, and I'm grateful to be back, and I'm grateful for all of you that take the time to follow true crime, whether it be via advocacy for someone that you knew or loved who's not getting justice, or just someone you chose to care about, that their stories compelled you to want to advocate for them and see them get justice, like you did for Karen Reed, many of you that come here on Friday nights, and John O'Keefe, and Sandra Birchmore, and Juston Root, and others in Massachusetts, some that are older stories, cold cases that I'm not aware of because I'm not from Massachusetts, but Anna Walshe now is obviously the newer case out of Massachusetts with Brian Walshe, still being in jail, and Proctor's texts will have something to do with how that case goes, unfortunately, and could be very traumatically for the family. So I welcome you all back. It'll be great to be here with you again tonight. I look forward to any comments that you want to make in the live, but obviously don't feel like you have to, but the friend zone is there for you if you want to comment or ask questions. And then those of you on the replay, thank you so much. I know there's so much going on, so many live streamers covering all of these various cases that I am also advocating for. So I truly appreciate that you care about what my opinion is and what I have to say based on my background and experience in law enforcement and social work and journalism. So I have a trifecta of past experiences and careers to lend, and then just being a human, just being a woman, and being a consumer of true crime for most of my life, and following along my mother's career in the Department of Justice in Wisconsin. And I care about justice for people, care about justice for victims of crimes, as all of you do. So when we do that, when we advocate and we care about justice for victims of homicides, and then we start to care about their families, and maybe we start to get to know their friends because of social media or YouTube or anything that they've done in the media with Dateline or some of the other big shows out there, or some of the big podcasters with the big numbers, it affects you. It can affect your central nervous system. It can affect your health if you get sick for some reason like I did, or if you end up with just, having your own illnesses that carry with you. Like a lot of us have chronic pain. A lot of us deal with fibromyalgia and chronic fatigue and all these things that people have nowadays more than we ever had them before, because life is getting harder and stressful. But when you choose to follow true crime, when you choose to advocate for victims and then follow that through to their court cases, or maybe you're just on the true crime only side and you don't follow the case when it first happens, you don't take it up till it's in trial. Either way, it's stressful. It's very difficult things that we learn about and that we talk about. And, we read autopsy reports. We hear from the families. We hear about their grief. We hear about we read police reports and we hear about what happened to that person. And it's all very stressful, very difficult for our central nervous systems to manage at times. So just be aware of that and be very careful. Take care of yourself. Don't overdo it. Make sure you take true crime breaks. As I have my just breathe sign back there, because 2 weeks ago, I should have had it up right behind me. It was across the room and I didn't pay attention to it, and I should have. So I want to just start off our live stream tonight saying that I got up in my feelings 2 weeks ago, because I feel like so many of the other content creators and so many people that were advocating for Karen Read and justice for John O'Keefe have sort of forgotten about John O'Keefe now. And I feel like there's all this nonsense going on the Twitter, X, and on the Facebook with these varying little fractions of people tweeting out hateful things towards each other constantly. And some of you are on Twitter X, some of you are not. I understand some of you are on Facebook, some of you are not. But there is somewhat of a crazy war going on amongst internal free Karen Read people. And there's always been one with the anti-Karen Read people. There's many of them that you know of because of the case. Kate Peter and Lindsay Gattani, who Aiden calls the fake victim because of her accusations against him. And they have their little fraction of people now. They've split. They're not together anymore. Grant Smith Ellis, a very popular live streamer in Massachusetts who was anti-Karen Read due to the fact he believed that she was hit by a car. Most of us that come here on Friday nights do not believe that he was hit by a car, but that he was hurt in an altercation with either Brian Albert, Brian Higgins, Colin Albert, a mixture of all three. We don't know. We weren't there. It's just our opinion, right? We have our theories about it. So there's all this arguing going on that has absolutely nothing to do with getting justice for John O'Keefe. If they spent even a fraction, and this is my opinion, if they spent a fraction of the time they spend being nasty with each other and creating these sock puppets and going after each other and making up lies, and people right now, people that have tried to stay neutral like myself, there's not very many of us, but I don't want to jump on with Sean on the Gulf and believe everything that he and his people have to tell me. I am not going to jump on the turtle wagon and believe everything that everybody in the turtle world wants to tell me. I have tried to stay neutral, not just for my own mental health, but for my sake and for all of your sake, because we don't know any of these people. They're not our friends. We have been advocating alongside them for justice for John O'Keefe and for freeing Karen Reed, who we all believe she was wrongfully accused. But I don't have to automatically believe you because you tell me something is true or not true. So I need to stay in the middle as long as I can. So my live stream 2 weeks ago was all about, the train track and how you don't want to jump on any train too soon. That's just my advice. You can do it. You can do whatever you want, but you don't have to just be on one person's train either. You can like some things that one content creator does and not like some things they do, and then like some things the other content creator does and not like everything they do. That's okay. This is America. We're allowed to have opinions about people. You have opinions about me. You wouldn't believe the crazies that came out the last 2 weeks. I don't know if it's because I didn't live stream or what, but apparently I have a hater who comes to our shows and is in the background lurking all the time. Hi, Mr. How are you? I know you're out there. And boy, does he hate me. He absolutely hates me. And for whatever reason, it's scary to me. I kind of understand where Lauren's coming from this week, Lauren from the True Crime Show. And there's been a lot going on with that because that's been in the true crime world this week. And long story short, we're going to talk about that in a little bit, because I feel that what she did and what she had to say and what this other woman did and what she's had to say is relevant, because so many content creators do get bullied and attacked for having an opinion, for sharing our opinion with you because we choose to. And it can be very, harming to your ego, number one, but it also can be scary. It can feel scary to think, how does a total stranger hate me? How can someone who doesn't really know me, who only knows me as I'm presenting advocacy, doesn't know what I do in my fun time, doesn't know my family, my friends, doesn't know really much about my careers, how do they choose to hate me? And so this guy does, because he went crazy the last 2 weeks and was saying just tons of mean things on Twitter. And then, of course, I was in my sick bed for a very long time and getting bored at the end. And I, of course, fired back a few times. I know I shouldn't. I know it's totally a waste of my time firing back against the antis, people that absolutely are never ever gonna let that go. They're going to die on the hill that John O'Keefe was hit by a car. They are not going to look at the science. They are not going to look at the autopsy. They're just not. So arguing with them constantly on social media is the biggest waste of your time on the planet right now, to be honest with you. But sometimes it's invigorating to get up there and debate. It can be, as long as people are being somewhat respectable and adult and not being children. But unfortunately, a lot of people are acting like children in the Karen Reed movement and on the outside. So 2 weeks ago, it all just got to me, and I was battling food poisoning. Thought I had kicked it, did not kick it, but I'm not using that as an excuse. I am a grown adult. I take responsibility for what I say and do, and I was very, very much in my feelings about it. And Julie, who's been my co-host for a long time, since I think February, March, we didn't always agree on things, but we always agreed to be respectful and be kind to each other. We didn't agree a lot on Aiden and other things in the Karen Reed movement and to do with the case, but we always combated each other respectfully. And last 2 weeks ago, I got just in my feelings. I kind of felt like maybe I was on a different side than Julie was on. I started feeling like, I don't know what I started feeling like. I wished I would have called her first and discussed it with her and said, hey, I'm feeling a certain kind of way. I don't know why. I'm starting to feel like you and I aren't on the same team about this anymore. Are you starting to feel like Karen really did this? Are you starting to believe some of the things Grant Smith Ellis and Twisted Tragedies are saying? And I was just upset. And I either shouldn't have live streamed or I should have talked to her first. I didn't do either of those things. That was my bad, my mistake. So I truly apologize to Julie. I never meant to be so up in my feelings. I tried to apologize in written form, and I also put it on Twitter and on my YouTube channel. But sadly, I have not heard from her. If you are in touch with her, I hope she's okay. I feel terrible. I deserve to feel terrible, and I truly apologize. And those of you that do know me, that don't just come to the show, but that are friends of mine now, that I've gotten to know through this, you all know that I don't apologize for nothing, and I'm not one of those people that refuses to apologize or will try to make excuses for my behavior. If I fuck up, I'm going to tell you I fucked up, and I'm going to feel bad about it for weeks. I have felt bad about it. So I hope Julie considers having a chat with me. I hope she accepts my apology. I don't know what else to do at this point, but I wanted to be honest with all of you. You've been great. You've supported my channel. I never in a million years thought I could do this. I never thought I could have a YouTube channel. I always wanted to have my own radio show. So for me, this is kind of like getting to do that. Breaking into radio is very hard and the pay sucks. So I chose not to do that because I had 2 children to support in my 30s and 40s. So I kind of left the dream of television broadcasting, sports casting, radio, sports. I kind of left that all behind to become a police officer because I felt that I could fulfill a dream to help serve and protect, and also serve and protect my kids by having a good income and insurance and all of that great stuff. So this is my way of kind of now having my own little radio station, only it's YouTube and I get to be video, which is fun. And I appreciate all of you. I know we are, as my hater pointed out this week, I mean nothing to no one. I am a nobody. Nobody cares what I have to say. I mean, he was on it. And I just kept replying, I don't care. I'm not doing this for you. I'm doing this for victims and their families. And a little bit, I'm doing it for me because it does make me feel good to advocate for victims and their families against crime and corruption and dirty cops and dirty government. And if that's what I get to do as I live out my life as a retiree, is have this little tiny corner of the world with you guys on Friday nights and sometimes on Wednesdays when I'm up for it, then so be it. And I don't need to be a huge content creator. I don't need to be popular or cared about by anybody, but I just want the victims and their families to know that they're not alone and that there are people out here, just regular everyday folks like all of us, who do care about what happened to them, because it truly does feel sometimes like no one cares. I've had so many of the actual victims' families that I've gotten to speak to on the phone or via email share with me that they feel alone, and that if their case wasn't, sorry, YouTube, sexy enough to get media attention in their own communities, much less nationwide attention from like the likes of Coppendorfer and Dateline and who's the lady that I like her actually, but who's the lady that's on News Nation? Shoot, I can't remember her name, but I like her too. She's good. She keeps politics out of it, which I really like. I don't love it when journalists bring politics into things because we're all different. We all have different views, and we can all live stream. There's one thing we can agree about in this world: crime stinks, and we have to stomp it out. Dirty cops are horrible. They need to be fired and decertified. And victims of crimes, victims of homicide, they deserve to be supported. And it doesn't matter if you wear a blue hat, a red hat, a green, a purple. It doesn't matter what color you are, what religion, or who you vote for. We can agree on one thing, is that we want advocacy for victims of homicide, and crime stinks. And let's stomp it out. So that's how I just wanted to open the show tonight, with kind of an apology to Julie, and I'm sorry, and there truly am. And I also am a little disappointed in the YouTube world of Free Karen Read, because John O'Keefe, newsflash, is still dead. And he has no justice, zero justice for John O'Keefe right now. And if you are the O'Keefe family, I'm just incredibly sorry for you. And I don't think you'll ever see this because I am considered a Free Karen Read person, but I am in blue for John O'Keefe tonight. I'm repping my Milwaukee Brewers. I'm so sorry, Milwaukee, my home for 7 years when I was a child. 414 is where I'm from. So thanks, Turtle Boy. 608 is where I'm born and raised and spent most of my life, Madison, Wisconsin. But I did get to spend 7 years living in Milwaukee, and it was great fun living there with my parents and my sister, and I had a lot of wonderful friends and wonderful memories. So I'm sorry to my dear friends who are huge Brewer fans. I know this hurts. It hurts worse because we didn't play like we were playing all season. And when that happens, when you're in the playoffs or whatever you're in, it stinks. Okay. There's no other way to put it. If you're a sports fan like me, or if you're not, if you're into music or plays and things happen, you know how they say break a leg? Well, they say that as good luck, but sometimes people forget their lines. Sometimes people miss a note and then the whole thing goes awry. So people that love any type of performance, they understand the agony of defeat, but this kind of defeat is worse because we didn't get to really play. We didn't make it exciting. And I am always okay with defeat as long as my team shows up, plays their hardest, doesn't score 0. But if they don't, it's tough to take because that's what they're there for. They're there to entertain us. We pay big money to be entertained by sports and by music, and we want the best out of you that you can give me. Now, there's always going to be a bad night or two, but this was rough getting swept by the damn Dodgers. And I actually got to go to a couple Angels games. I didn't go to any Dodgers games, but I lived closer to the Angels Stadium when I lived in LA for grad school at USC. And Turtle, Aiden, man. Oh, I wish I could get you on my show for just 5 minutes because boy, did you blast my Trojans the other night. You came on boastful and, bragging about your big defeat. The Notre Dame takes down the Trojans and he goes again. And the USC Mighty Trojans have fallen. Well, you know what, Aiden? I was at the game at the beautiful Coliseum in LA, and you should go there sometime. And if you're that big of a Notre Dame fan, then you should go to the Notre Dame USC game in LA. Because it's a wonderful stadium, first of all, and we beat you. And so, it hasn't been that long, Aiden, it really hasn't. And it's typically always a really good game. But yeah, you guys got under the skin of our quarterback. You deserve to win that game. I have no problem with Notre Dame. I actually like their head coach. He seems like a super cool guy. But boy, did you revel in your victory. And you couldn't just revel in your victory. You had to smash down my Trojans while you did it. So this is my happy Turtle. So Turtle, quit smashing my Trojans. I don't know who gave this to me, but it's the cutest damn thing ever. And it has pink spots. They look kind of purple, but this is my happy Turtle to try to encourage Aiden to be a kinder, nicer human. Because he's a great, great journalist and he's freaking hysterically funny. So I just like to see a little more kindness coming out of him here and there. All right. So let's talk about John O'Keefe. I have several things to talk to you about tonight. So actually, let me show you the agenda for tonight of what we're going to try to accomplish. Now, I just came off of literally bad food poisoning that never left my system, apparently. So I got sick again, and then I tested positive for this scary traveler's D word, stomach flu thing, Montezuma's revenge, some form of E. coli. That was terrifying when they first told me, but then they said, no, it's okay. Don't worry. You're not going to die. This is travelers. You've been hydrated. Your blood work looks fine. My blood work was a little sketchy when I was in the ER for 8 hours, but it seems to be popping back up. But I've literally had a hell of a week, and I had a hell of a week 3 weeks ago when I first got food poisoning. So my lesson to you is always be your own best friend. Follow up, ask for second opinions. I was told that it would clear itself, that I didn't need an antibiotic 3 weeks ago. Well, it didn't clear itself. It sat and lived in me, and which is probably why I have felt like hell for 3 weeks and didn't feel like myself. But I'm much better today. I have to take my antibiotic when we take our break. I'm on a 3-day dose of antibiotic to finally get rid of this. I've never in my life had E. coli, never thought in a million years I could get it. But anybody can get it. Food poisoning is scary. So just be your own best friend, take care of yourself, question every diagnosis, look at your MyChart, read your shit, and please take care of yourself. All right, let's get back to John O'Keefe here tonight, because John O'Keefe freaking matters and his life mattered. He's telling us from the heavens above, because I'm really convinced if you believe in God in heaven, that John O'Keefe is in heaven. And he's telling us my life mattered. And what are you going to do now? Are you all just going to go home and take your toys and Karen Reed is freed? No, I mean, only half the job is done, my friends. Half the job is done. John O'Keefe deserves justice, and he deserves us to continue to fight for him. And I'm not positive what that looks like. I mean, I'm a small content creator. We have a small grassroots following. I love all of you. I think you're all wonderful. I think we're at 1,070 now, which I'm so proud of. And if you're watching, hater, we don't care. We're not counting numbers. We take donations only to help us with the program costs. We do not do monetization. We do not do super chats. We post people's chats when they want to chat in the friend zone with us. We don't ask you for money for that. So if you're there, we're trying to love you through it, because maybe you don't mean to be so mean and nasty. I do believe he's from Canton, though, because some of the things he said to me this week kind of led me to believe he was from the area, not an out-of-stater like me. But we'll see. I don't know. We'll see how long he hangs around. Maybe he'll be brave and come talk like a big boy in the friend zone. So Mary, MK Murphy, 1970, said earlier this morning, maybe they should have hired a super lawyer for it really mattered, finding justice for John. Yeah, I mean, guys, I'm confused by this a little bit, right? So I'm confused a little bit by a lot of people's actions and non-actions. And you would think that by now somebody in the family, a cousin, a relative, I mean, a best friend of John, somebody would start to see and wake up and be like, wait a minute, we got this wrong. This John was not hit by a car, and what else could it possibly be? And maybe I'll chip in and hire a private investigator. Ellen Greenberg's family has had a private investigator on her case for years and years and discovered things that needed to be discovered. There's other cases that I'll mention later, or if we don't get to it tonight, because I don't know how long I'll last tonight. When I start to go downhill, I think it's going to happen quick. So we may have to get to this case I want to tell you about in Florida. It was a cold case for 20 years. It's a great example of never giving up, always keep the faith. This woman's family hired a private investigator. They sued the city of Orlando, and I think they may have a suspect. So I'll talk about that case if we have time tonight. If not, next Friday when we have our Halloween party, we will for sure talk about it, because it's a scary case and it'll fit right into Halloween for sure. So hi. Oh, that was just me replying back to Murphy. Hi, Kathy. Great to see you. Thanks for coming. Appreciate you, my dear friend from Madison. So getting back to hiring a private investigator, why isn't somebody doing that? Like, if I was John's friend, and even if I was on the fence this whole time, and then I watched the trial, I mean, I would be like, whoa, maybe Karen hit him, maybe she didn't. Maybe you could be like in the middle and say, but if she did or didn't, then let's hire a private investigator. Let's all chip in. Let's see if there's anything we can, figure out about this case. So I just want to read to you. It's hard to see my wheel, I know, because everything's so small, but I just want to read to you what I wrote in there. I wrote in there that 6 quick facts about John O'Keefe. He was a good cop and a great uncle and friend. He died on an unnecessary, tragic death at 34 Fairview in Canton, Massachusetts. His death investigation was shady. The Alberts, McCagues, and Higgins are liars. He deserves justice. He was not hit by an SUV. So I personally, in my opinion, believe all those things are true. Now, the McCabe's, the Alberts, and his family, they believe he was a good cop, a great uncle, and a great friend, and obviously a great family member all around. They would agree he died an unnecessary tragic death at 34 Fairview. I would like to think by now that they would agree his death investigation was shoddy, shady and shoddy, whatever word you want to put on it, despicable. I'd like to think that. I don't think they think the Alberts and the McCagues and Higgins are liars, but they should, because even if they didn't do it, let's just say in some realm they did not do it, and John was hit by a plow, not Karen Reed's SUV, but an actual truck or a plow, and that's what caused him to be in such bad shape and die from that massive head injury. Sorry, John. Then maybe they could say that, because they definitely lied about things. And that's just a no-brainer. There's things that were already proven that they lied about on the stand. And he deserves justice. We know they can agree about that. So there really, truly are so many things in the world of John O'Keefe and getting justice for him that we can all agree on. So people can stop fighting on social media and being nasty and mean and backstabbing. I mean, the backstabbing has been crazy. I mean, people are showing people screenshots. People are showing private emails now. It's literally one thing after another if you follow along with the Free Karen Reed movement, with all the in crowd, because they're all involved in it on social media. So if you stay away from that, more power to you. That's good. But it does help in a lot of ways with context for what's going on now post trial. And who knows, maybe some of it will all come rolling out and will actually help to get the real perpetrators brought out into the light, brought out to justice. So just a reminder, I got into all this because I'm a former police officer. I'm officially retired now, retired officially. I was on duty disability for many years after I hurt my neck in the line of duty. And I like to call out corruption when I see it. I've done it other times, just not live streaming. I like to go to attend meetings where towns and people are calling out corruption in their communities. And it's all about knowledge and power and action and change. And you have all that power in your communities. You can do what Cantonites have done. You can do what those in Stoughton have done. You have the power to learn and then grow power from that, and then take action, and then that leads to change. And if you want examples of that, look at all the Free Karen Reed protesters. Look at the people that have stood out for justice for Sandra Birchmore. Mizzy, who is an amazing lady because she never knew Sandra, and she didn't know her. She never met her, but Sandra's death touched her heart. And when she read about Sandra's death, she never believed for a minute that Sandra committed S-word, unaliving of her own self. Never a minute. And most people that started following this Sandra Birchmore case a few years ago didn't believe it either. But nobody in the media covered it. Her death was ruled an unaliving of herself. It wasn't questioned by many, except for her family and her cousin Barbara and Mizzy. And they had very small standouts, but they did it. They were there. They had their signs, and those signs said these men need to be arrested. The Farwell twins, Robert Devine, and this man, Joshua Keel, they all broke the law when they were doing acts with Sandra while on duty, in uniform, stepping away from their jobs to go meet her and groom her and continue to abuse her for years and years. And God only knows how many other young girls. We may just be at the tip of, we are at the tip of the iceberg with Sandra. There's no doubt about it. I understand why they would be silent, and we should all have grace and understanding for any victims of SA, any victims of grooming, why they would be afraid to come out, because it's scary when the police are involved. These are people you trust. These are people you trust to serve and protect you, but they have power. The people in government have power, and they will threaten you. They will use that power against you time and time again. That's why we call out the corruption. That's why we fight and advocate for people that aren't getting justice. So I would love it if you would all go to Sandra's website. I just want to read it off of my screen here just a second, because it's hard for me to read on the live. I wanted to share out with you, Mizzy posted this a few weeks ago now, before I got sick. We need your help. We want to make sure the website is one of the first things people see when they Google Sandra's name. And that's why we need traffic to go to it, guys, because that's how Google works. So with Dateline, people are looking her up. So if you didn't see the Dateline, please watch the Dateline. And then I want to talk about the Dateline next Friday night, because scary night, fright night, Halloween, and there's nobody scarier than William Farwell and Matthew Farwell and Robert Devine. So Mizzy says, can you please click the link to help boost the website and the algorithm? Thank you. Okay, so let's go click the link. I got it too big on here. Hang on. I think it'll still let me open it. So let me try. Oh, I might not. Hang on. Let me try to copy it into something smaller. Give me just a second. I have the link saved a little too strange here in my, darn it all. Give me just a second. I'm trying to see if I can fix this. I have it too awkward on the slide. That was my fault. Let me see if I can. Well, I'm just going to try to look it up. So give me a second, because I just want to click on it right now. It's justice for sandrabirchmore.com. So let's click on it. I'm going to type it in here. Justice for Sandra Birchmore.com. And, you know, these cases of SA and of our word grape, they make us say grape. It's just unbelievable how we cannot use real words in this world anymore. Okay, I think that's it. I'm going to share my screen with y'all, so give me a second, because I want to show it to you. Let me remove this here for now. Then we'll come back to our outline here in a second. Hi. It brings me up big. All right, let's see here. I'm going to share my screen with you guys. So give me a sec, stand by, and we're going to take a look at the Sandra Birchmore website. And I would love it if all of you could go there and click on it, and let's try to get their algorithm going for Sandra. So we're going to share the screen. It'll take me just a second to do this behind the scenes stuff that other live streamers, big content creators have producers to do. They have it's all ready to go for people. That is not what we do here. I do it all. So you have to give me a little time to go into my production room and share my screen. All right, let's get it up. Here we go. Sandra Birchmore. So let me, if someone can let me know they can see it, that would be great. I'm trying to make sure there we go. Let me pull it. Oh, it does a lot of weird things lately when I share my screen. It made us really small. It made me really small now for some reason. It'll come back when I try to do different things. Once I start doing other things, then it seems to pop back up, but it made us really small for some reason. So I don't know. I'll have to I got to call her right to StreamYard, because there's still things that happen that I'm not totally techie with as to how to fix. And sometimes when I share my screen, it then pops me into this little tiny window that I don't know how to get out of that right now. So we're going to give it a try and see if I can add it to the stage. Let's see, before presenting. Okay, remove. Come on, tech. There we go. So there is Sandra Birchmore's website. So I'm going to go up here and scroll. And so now that we've clicked on it, we have participated, so that helps. So, even if just once a day, even if you don't take time to read anything new, click on it and let's help boost this for this wonderful girl who never did anything to deserve any of this. She wanted to be a police officer. She was interested in law enforcement. She was working in the schools before she passed. She was pregnant with her first child. We don't know who the father is. We thought it was Matthew Farwell, but it is not. That's been that was put out a few months ago already. But Sandra's story is on here. You can literally read everything that happened to her, and we will look a little more into this next Friday night during our Halloween party. Sandra's life in pictures. It's just heartbreaking. I mean, how they chose her, why they chose her, we're never going to know. And I know for a fact she wasn't the only victim. There's no way that those just evil men who are sick in the head had one victim. I just don't buy it at all. So here's the Justice Gallery. There's standouts here there's pictures of the standouts, dates. I mean, past. This is great stuff, Mizzy and Barbara. Thank you so much. So please do that. Bookmark this, go in and click it every day. It takes literally 2 seconds, less time than it would take to brush your teeth. You can stand for justice for Sandra Birchmore. So thanks, everybody. I really appreciate that you would consider doing that for justice for Sandra, because we've all got to stick together when it comes for advocating for everybody that has lost their lives by the hands of someone else. But children, it's just it feels especially egregious. Not that adults, shouldn't have our empathy and our sympathy, of course, but it's just children are harmless and they just don't deserve any of this. So let me stop sharing my screen so we can try to get back to normal here. And I apologize because I can't figure out why it keeps minimizing us into this tiny little tiny world. I'm going to have to do some tech work here in the next week when we're not live streaming and figure this out. So I apologize for all of the weirdness that's going on with our screen. Hopefully it'll come back and then I'll be able to see it, because I can't even see it right now. It's doing such strange things. And I don't know how to stop it. That's the problem. It just seems like once I do one thing, it suddenly brings it back. But right now it's just causing us grief and we're just this tiny little box. So hopefully you can hear me, and I'm just going to keep on going and hopefully it'll self-correct itself. I'll take a break here in about a half an hour and see if I can fix it. So regarding John O'Keefe, like I said, we have to keep advocating for him, whether it's just the 1,070 of us, or hopefully it'll be more of the Free Care and Read group that has, maybe they needed a break from Karen Reed, maybe they don't really know what to do now. Like, how do we keep advocating for John O'Keefe? What are our options? But I still think standouts are a wonderful option for those of you that are in Massachusetts, and we can live stream your standouts and be there with you, and continuing to go over the case, because it's not solved. It's technically cold because it's been a number of years now, and no one's been arrested as of yet. So we can keep sharing the case. We can keep, bringing it to life by talking about the evidence and what was wrong with the evidence, and maybe going over the testimonies again, a little by little on Friday Night Lives, and trying to find just something that we've missed, some slip up, some problem. But I wanted to read to you. I find it interesting, when you make Wikipedia, you have either become quite famous or you have died in a tragic way or by the hands of someone else. So sadly, John is in Wikipedia. So I wanted to read through that a little bit with y'all tonight and get your comments and see if there's anything that is in here that was possibly a clue that some of us have missed or that's wrong, because Wikipedia, obviously you can fix them. You can fix mistakes. You can log in and you can request to fix a mistake. So it says that John was born December 8th, 1975 in Braintree, Massachusetts. He passed away, as you all know, January 29th, 2022 at the age of 46, the young age of 46, in Canton, Massachusetts, in the front yard, we believe, or in the house of 34 Fairview. The cause of death was blunt force trauma to the head. His alma mater was Northeastern University and the University of Massachusetts Lowell. He was a police officer for the Boston Police Department, and his partner at the time of his death, as you all know, was Karen Reed from 2020 to 2022. It's hard to believe, and I'm sure it is for his family too, that he's been gone that long already. So I'm just going to pop back in. I'm in a production room. I want to see. Oh, no, our screen still didn't correct itself. So I'm going to take just a 5-minute break, y'all. Thank you for your patience. I'm going to see if I can correct this weird screen. Let me all know if you're seeing it small or if it's all good. I see something, but hard to look. I'm baking. Oh, okay. Well, good for you, MCAT. I wish I was there to eat whatever it is you're baking. Let me know if you can see the screen at all, because it's teeny tiny on my end in the production room. And I am trying my darndest to figure out what the heck just happened. It says orientation settings are disabled by live. So I don't know what. I already went to the production room when I was chatting with y'all, so can't seem to get that fixed. I'm just curious what you see on your screens. Do you see a tiny little box, or do you actually see okay, and it's just my production room that's messed up? So if you guys would let me know that, either Kathy or MCAT or whoever is live with me tonight, that would be appreciated. I'm going to put up that I'm taking a 5-minute break to try to fix this correction. Oh, okay. Thanks, Elizabeth. I can see it fine. Looks normal. Oh, good. Thank you. Well, that makes me happy. As long as you guys are okay, I'm okay, because I can see my outline from on my own in my production room. But I'm just trying to get back so that you can all see me. It looks like I did. Okay, that's good. So that happened. Let me do that much at least. All right. There, I think I'm back. I have no idea what I did to do that. So I'm just going to keep on keeping on now and hope that it doesn't screw up again. It seems to do this when I share my screen. So I am going to check with tech at StreamYard and find out, what am I hitting? What am I doing wrong that I never used to do wrong that is causing me to lose my screen? I'm glad you guys can still see. That's all that matters to me. Okay, perfect. So let me go back, and then any comments that you all want to make in our live chat, that would be awesome. Thank you. Thanks, MCAT. We see Sandra and Mail. Okay, very good. Now we see you. Okay, perfect. Thank you, Elizabeth. Thank you, everybody. All right, let's go back and just continue, because not a lot of time was spent in the last 2 years really talking about John O'Keefe. We talked about Karen Reed a lot, and I can't even imagine how many times her name was either in your brain or coming out of your mouth for the last 2 years. And think about how many. I mean, Aiden has over 160 subscribers. The Glare, LTL Media, Mazda Media, the Young Jerks. I mean, if you add up all of their 30, 40, 50,000, however many some of them are up to now, that's a lot of people constantly talking about Karen Reed, but not as much about John O'Keefe. I really do feel in some ways, he did get lost. I mean, she was fighting for life. We believe she was wrongfully accused. So don't get me wrong. I have no problem with all of you talking about her, thinking about her, saying her name. But who would have ever thought that someone who was a total stranger to all of us, 4 years ago, would have been occupying our thoughts, our minds, for some of us live streaming, many of you in the chat boxes in the front, I call it the friend zone here, but chat boxes everywhere else. How many times the name Karen Reed came out of people's mouths or was typed in a chat box? It's a number that I don't think any of us can fathom, but not as much for John O'Keefe. You would randomly see hashtag justice for John O'Keefe. And of course, the anti-Karen Reed group accused the Karen Reed group of not giving a crap about John O'Keefe if he got justice or not. That I don't believe. I don't believe that's true at all. I do believe that people on the Karen Reed team and all of the supporters in Canton and Stoughton and the surrounding towns that came to Canton and did those standouts wore the pink because that was Karen's favorite color. Now, many of them have taken up the justice fight they believe, calling for justice for Kelsey Fitzsimmons. Now, my jury's out on that, and I'm not going to speak on that tonight. I'm going to do a little more research on what's been going on, and we're going to talk about that next Friday. My jury's still out about if this is a justice for call, and I'm going to tell you why. And then we're going to talk about it in length next week. But before I get to that, I'm going to wrap this up. They were wearing pink because of Karen's favorite color. And I do believe everybody that ever put on a pink t-shirt also wanted to wear blue for John. And maybe it would have been cool if somebody would have come up with a pink and blue t-shirt that had half Karen Reed, half John. I don't know, but it did end up to look like it was a free Karen Reed only movement versus a John O'Keefe only movement. And that's what the optics look like. And so there's not a lot we can do about that. Optics happen all the time in social media and in regular media. Live streaming optics are tough to overcome sometimes. But I think, that Karen Reed movement, whoever you are, because you've all, you've got people that Aiden, I believe, feels he is the head of the movement. You've got tons of people on the ground who led the movement, like Rita and the Murphys and the Sweeneys and on and on and on. Sorry if I'm missing any of you, or Jen O'Donnell. I mean, you guys were there and you were in the cold and the rain and holding your signs. But maybe you could have, if you had it to do over again, I think you might have thought a little bit about going all pink for freeing Karen Reed when justice for John O'Keefe still needed to be on the table. If you didn't believe the right person was arrested, you had every right to believe that. And you wanted to fight for her because she was arrested and she was in trial. But the idea that John O'Keefe always still needs justice and continues to need justice should have always been there. And I would have liked to have seen a little more, blue and pink maybe on the free Karen Reed side if you had it to do over again. I'm just curious what you guys have to say about that. I'm not criticizing you. What you did was amazing. You really showed the nation and the world what true standouts look like. And there's nothing wrong with standing out. One of the conservative media people this week made bad comments about the No Kings marches. Hey, you don't have to agree with them, but everybody, it's America. It's free speech. Aiden talks about it all the time. Sean on the Golf talked about it all the time. All the big content creators, the Young Jerks, Mike. We have freedom of speech in this country, and that includes a right to peaceful protest. Whether I agree with what you're protesting or you're advocating for or not, you have the right to do it as long as you remain peaceful. And she was really snarky and nasty. And, I'm not going to watch her anymore because that's just wrong. I mean, you don't, if you're a journalist, you stay in the middle, stay in your lane. Do not tell us about, obviously, if you work for Fox News, I guess you don't have a choice. I think you're ordered to not stay in your lane. I think you're ordered to be as conservative media as possible. But if you're not, if you work for anybody but Fox News, then just report on what's going on, report the facts, report the news, report what's happening, evidence, whatever, but keep your political leanings to yourself, because that's just, again, we can all agree on one thing. Why do people want to mess with the one thing we can all agree on? Justice for victims of homicide and their families. It's the one freaking thing we can all agree on. And yet people want to mess with that. And Jessica Machado, you're a cool lady. I respect your journalism. I respect what you've written. I respect you going to court. But why you continue to throw your politics on your channel, I can't watch it because it's not my politics. And I don't want to do politics with live streaming for true crime. I want to do advocacy. I want to support families and the victims of, this is irritating to me. So I get a little bit upset when live streamers are throwing politics into their live streams, because it's just not there. We can all agree on something. We can be a team. We can be unity, unity advocacy, unity for victims and their families. So regarding Kelsey Fitzsimmons, horrible situation, absolutely terrible what's happened to this young woman. Female police officer, hard enough as it is to be a cop in a man's world, to be a firefighter in a man's world, to be anything that's considered a traditional male macho job. To do it as a female is difficult, even in 2025. I see that and I understand that. I have grace for all of you for that. I experienced it myself as a female police officer. Postpartum depression is absolutely real. Most women who have had a baby have it to a certain degree. They just don't know it. They don't have symptoms, but your body is literally has been through the ringer for 9 months. And then you give birth to a human child. And then you're expected to jump up and go back to work and find childcare for your child if you're a working mom, or be at home with the baby and still do homemaker things and keep your house in order and grocery shop and cook meals and pay the bills. Women are put upon in this world. We are put upon and we are superhuman. And so when we have postpartum depression, it's a real problem and it takes over you so quickly. You don't see it coming. Now, I'm pretty positive I had it with my second child, but I didn't know what it was. I didn't know. I just remember I was walking around my house and I'd be holding on to the baby. And then my son, who was 2, would be holding on to my leg because he was jealous of the baby, obviously. And he was used to me picking him up. And so I'm trying to carry 2 children sometimes. And I'm trying to work out of my home. I had a part-time job with Wisconsin Special Olympics. And I would walk down my hallway heading to the room to change the diaper. And I'd say, I'm so fucking tired. I'm so tired. And I just thought it was because I was a new mom and I'm still trying to work part-time from home. I didn't really take a maternity leave the second time around like I did the first time around. Thought I could be the superhero. And I was fucking tired all the time. And I remember my husband, we weren't getting along very well after my second son was born. So it was really difficult also being very critical of me and saying, you know, you're tired all the time. Why are you tired all the time? I'm tired of hearing you say you're tired all the time. So instead of like, maybe we should go to the doctor, dear, maybe you're tired all the time because you have something going on with having just given birth to a child who weighed 7 pounds, 2 ounces. But no, nobody did. And then I didn't necessarily share that with my mom or tell my friends because we don't do that in my generation. I mean, I'm almost a boomer. I mean, I was born in 63. Boomers go till roughly 64. I didn't quite make Generation X, but even Generation X, we didn't talk a lot about personal things, about healthcare or our health or the me word or self-care wasn't a thing. You know, we just worked all the time till we couldn't stay awake. And then we fell into bed, half awake, half asleep after doing laundry and picking up our children's toys. And I feel for her. But I think she was dismissed. I think her postpartum was dismissed. I think she became very ill, obviously. Nobody who's not having a very ill moment is going to attempt to unalive themselves in front of their partners who are officers. The whole thing was messed up. In my opinion, they should have never gone there like they did to her house to take her child from her. I mean, who does that? Who sends fellow officers to the home of an officer to take away a woman's child? It's just the worst thing you could ever do. And you're asking for trouble. You're asking for the worst kind of trouble. If she hadn't done it that minute, she might have unalived herself after they left. She might not be here right now. It's hard to say. It's very hard to say, but how they chose to handle it, to me, should be a lesson to anybody ever who has to deal with someone who's become so disillusioned and so despondent and depressed from postpartum depression. Now, I know someone who's pretty much an expert on this. I might try to bring them in for next Friday night. Not sure they can make it with Halloween. They have little children. Don't know if they practice Halloween or celebrate it or whatever it is we do with the crazy holiday. But she had postpartum depression and she's a social worker. And her and I did a live stream, pre-recorded together a few years back. So I may just show you clips of that pre-recorded if I can't get her live. But I'm going to try to get her live the next couple of weeks because she's great. She's a great speaker, a great social worker. And I do want to cover more about Kelsey. But justice for Kelsey is tough for me right now because I just don't know yet. Like, I don't want to completely blame the police department. I don't want to completely blame the officers that night, even though I don't believe they handled it properly by showing up there. I don't know what else they could have done when she reached for that GUN. I really don't know what else they could have done. So the whole thing is ugly. It's horrible. It's nasty. I hate the fact that she's in jail. What is going on? I mean, people that do major crimes, way different than what happened with her that night, get out on bail. I mean, for God's sake, Barry Morphew is out on bail right now. Barry effing Morphew, who unalived Susan Morphew, in my opinion, and buried her in the freaking desert, and dug her up and buried her again so that he could get away with it, is out on bail. So how is it possible that this woman has to be in jail when she could be at home, you know, with her parents and getting well and going to therapy and counseling? So I have a lot to say about it. I'm just not going to prepare to talk all about it tonight, but I'm sorry, Kelsey, for everything you've been through. You do deserve justice. How that looks, I'm not totally sure yet. And I don't want to take a complete opinion on that until I research more. And I've been too sick for the last 2 weeks. So I do want to know more. And I am incredibly sorry for her and her family. And she should at least get to see her child, have some visitation, bring the baby. I don't care. Bring the baby to the jail. They have rooms. It's a baby. It's not going to remember that it was in jail. Let her see her child. She has to heal. Postpartum is serious. And the last thing you all want, I'm sure, those of you that are hating on her, is for her to get through all this and then eventually take her own life because her child has been taken from her. So bad things could still happen to this young woman if she doesn't get to be reunited with her baby. And as long as if her visits are supervised until they feel she's clear of any ideation, of any unaliving ideation or any ideation at all to hurt anyone, they have to make sure of all that because this baby's life is important. And supervised visits should be no problem. And I am all for that for her. And I hope she gets to see her child. So that's how I feel about Kelsey. And I'm, again, incredibly sorry for her and her family for everything they're going through. And a little bit angry, I'm not going to lie, at the boyfriend, because I think he really effed up. And I'll get into more of that when we talk next week during our Halloween party. And I hope you guys can come. I do have a costume. I am going to dress up. I love dressing up. My neighborhood here, I have the whole outside of my house as a big giant ghost. There's ghosts everywhere, hanging everywhere. So I love ghosts. I think Casper the Friendly Ghost was one of my most favorite ever when I was a kid. And I'm going to read any comments here in just a second. So I have ghosts all over. The kids in my neighborhood, it's a big trick-or-treating neighborhood here. And my street is known for all the holiday decorations and for good candy. And that the parents of the kids dress up and that the actual homeowners dress up. And we all sit out in chairs in our front yard and we hand out the candy. And it's like a block party. It's so much fun. And last year I went as a 70s chick because I just didn't have a lot of ideas for last year. But it was good. It went over well. It was fun. My neighbors dressed up as Barbie and Ken. Oh my gosh. I'm going to find the picture I have of them and put that up for you next week. I don't know what they're going to do this year. They dressed up as Barbie and Ken. She had the blonde wig. She's beautiful. She looks like Barbie. He's handsome. He was dressed up like Ken. And then they have a golf cart. So they decorated their whole golf cart like a Barbie mobile. Guys, it was the coolest costume. And they were running all around the neighborhood, taking their kids to other streets to trick or treat. And my son is friends with their kids and he takes them fishing, and they were all down here getting our candy. And I just think it's fun. I know Halloween is creepy. It's a weird holiday. The background of it is scary and dark, and we'll talk about that next Friday. So feel free to dress up. If you want to come on the platform and say your piece about John O'Keefe, Karen Reed, Sandra Birchmore, Kelsey Fitzsimmons, Anna Walshe, Suzanne Morphew, Suzanne Clark Simpson, anybody, Sandra Birchmore, you're welcome. So all I have to do is send you a link in your email and you can come up and talk to me, and you can come on with just your voice. If you don't want to be seen like this on camera, please feel free to come on with your voice. But if you want to wear a costume, so I'm not the only one in costume, please do. Even if it's a sweatshirt that says boo. It'd be fun if everybody who comes live next week would dress up and show themselves on the platform, because you're always invited to step up and join me here. So I'm excited about my costume this year more than ever, because I've always wanted to be this person, and I've been throwing out a bunch of hints. So let's throw out a big one. Hang on a second. I got to block the camera for a second. We'll throw out a big hint right now while we take our little break. We've been going for an hour. Surprised I'm still alive right now, to be honest with you. I didn't know there for a while. I'm afraid to touch any of these buttons because I always seem to make myself disappear lately when I mess with buttons. But I do want to give you the hint. I'll put up the background. I want to give you the hint. So hang on a second. See if I can get this to work without totally screwing up my screen again. All right, now I just got to do one more thing. There she is. Poison frickin' Ivy. Who doesn't love Poison Ivy? And there's our handsome Batman, right? So maybe John O'Keefe could be our Batman. He was a crime fighter, a great cop, handsome guy. I mean, I could totally see John O'Keefe in a Batman costume. Now, let's not get kinky, people. Let's not go crazy. But I just think John O'Keefe was handsome. He was young enough to be my son. But if I was young, I would have thought John O'Keefe was handsome. And I just love her. To me, she's the coolest villain, if you've got to love a villain, because she loves plants and she cares about, the world and saving plants. And she's a doctor. She's educated. She's smart, and she's sexy. So I am going to dress as obviously the 62-year-old version of Poison Ivy. I can't bring this, but I do have a great costume to share with you guys next Friday night. I hope you can make it. And let me catch up on a few of your comments here, MCAT and Elizabeth. Let's see here. Let's go back to where we were. Okay, let me catch up a little bit here. MCAT says, I missed it. Who needs to stay in their lane? Good question. I feel like we've talked about so much already tonight. Boy, help me out, guys. What was I talking about who needs to stay in their lane? Good question, because boy, it's been an hour and we've been going on and on and on. So I'll figure it out. If not, I'll rewatch it back later, MCAT, and then we'll talk about it next week again, because we're basically going to talk about everything we talked about tonight again next week, just a little bit more and a little bit deeper. Praying for her son. Yes, Elizabeth, thank you. We all are praying for that baby. Doesn't deserve any of this. No child does, but mothers don't deserve to get postpartum depression either. It's hormonal. There's nothing you can do about it. My first child was born 8 weeks early. My son, Zach, was 4 pounds when he was born. And because my placenta abrupted, trigger alert. Sorry, I should have said that first. Trigger alert, men. But the placenta abrupting is absolutely nothing I could have done anything about. I ate healthy. I exercised. I worked right up until they hospitalized me at, 8 weeks before he was born. And thank you, Kathy Coppins. You were there for me that day. My mother was out of town. My sister was out of town. It was brutal. And thank God Kathy was working as a medical assistant at that clinic, because she came rushing down to my appointment in OB when they said, you have to be hospitalized. You're very sick. Your son's heart rate is very low. It was terrifying. It was my first child. I was 24 years old. And Kathy is Zach's godmother. So we love her so much, and grateful that I made it through, because women die of preeclampsia all the time, which is toxemia. And that's what happens in your body. And then that can cause your placenta to abrupt. And then that causes an emergency delivery. So I ended up having an emergency C-section. And I don't know how I didn't end up with postpartum depression with that pregnancy, but I didn't. That's why there's just no way to know when a woman is going to end up with postpartum depression. So MCAT says, my postpartum was bad. My husband stepped in. Oh, good. I'm sorry, MCAT. Yes, I'm sorry. So if you ever want to speak on that when we're talking about Kelsey, MCAT, you are always welcome back up on the platform anytime as a guest commentator. There is no way her partner and colleagues should have handled that issue. I cannot get behind North Handover sending her coworkers. No, I can't either. But once they did send them, is what I'm seeing, is that they really had no choice to do what they had to do. That became a very volatile, horrible, bad situation for the police and for Kelsey. And but I agree, they should have never sent her coworkers. They should have never handled it that way. Normally it's handled where if there is an issue where custody has to be turned over, it's handled in the family court. So handled in her own personal home by her own coworkers. I mean, that should be a poster for never do this again, ever. Any police department in America, never do this. Right? Absolutely. So, yes, Elizabeth, I'm praying for Kelsey as well. Right. We all are. Just joining, but ouch, placenta busting No, it wasn't fun at all. Hi, Sherry D. Welcome. No, it was not. It was the pits. It was utterly terrifying. Great to hear your voice. Oh, thank you, Sherry D. It's so glad to be back. I'm sure when you rewatch it, you'll hear everything about why I was gone for 2 weeks and everything. So when you do it on the replay, and if you have any questions about anything from anybody who's here on the replay, questions are always welcome. You can email me, acttmsw@gmail.com, acttmsw@gmail.com. You can email me anytime. And I forgot to do the disclaimer, as JFK used to say, that, everything that I talk about is my opinion based on facts, based on evidence, based on autopsies I've looked at, police reports I've read, other content that I've looked at, the news, the media, the regular media, other live streamers' opinions that I like to have an opinion on. But this is all my opinion, and everything you say in our chat box is all your opinion. So thank you for that. Noonan said 2 shots. Justin saying several shots. Something isn't right. Oh, interesting, Sherry D. Yeah. I think we're not getting the full story, Sherry D. I don't know when we will, because again, what we're used to here with the police is they are backing the blue line, possibly, right? And that's what happened in Canton, and that's a good branch for us to talk about, Proctor Trooper, because none of us like Proctor Trooper. None of us, we don't want him to have any success in life. But again, unless he goes to jail for something that he's done, he has to get, I hope he has a job. I hope he doesn't end up homeless. I mean, I don't want bad things to happen to him. But I'd like him to pay for his crimes, because I really think that there are crimes involved here with the investigation, the non-investigation into the death of John O'Keefe. So I'd like to see Proctor have to answer to whatever crimes he may have committed. As I've said multiple times, I do believe, rest in peace. We're not supposed to talk about the dead in a bad way, but Chief Berkowitz did what he did. So there's no way he's clean in that. In the death investigation of John O'Keefe. There's just no way. If you look at all the evidence, if you look at what's been said by Tully and by Uri and Proctor, and what's been done and said by others that testified, there is absolutely no way, and Kelly Deaver said it best, that Berkowitz and Higgins were in the Sally Port for a wildly long time. Nobody just says that. Nobody just says that. And I put up a photo of her let me see if I have it. Let me see if I can pull it up. One of her still shots of when she testified, right? She just looks miserable. Like, I hate being up here. I hate having to lie. I hate what position that they put me in. I know most people don't like her, or, basically can't stand her because she didn't cave and tell the truth, because I don't think she felt she could. We really don't know what went on with all of the Deaver stuff. This is a case I'm going to talk to you a little bit about the end of the show. This is an old Florida case, and it kind of touched my heart a little bit, and I just want to share a little bit of it with you at the end of the show. We may talk a little bit more about it next week as well. And just en route, I just want to continue to say his name. He was shot over 31 times. He did not have a weapon. And the family is still fighting for justice. They went through all the court systems and kept getting denied. So I don't know if the FBI is ever going to step in for them or not, but we're going to tell you a little bit about Just en route for those who don't know that much about him, so that he doesn't get forgotten in all of the new crime that comes up every day, every week in this country. His family is still fighting for justice. So we'll talk about him next Friday for sure. So, I'm going to pass this for a minute, because this is quite bizarre and interesting what's been going on with Lauren from Hidden True Crime and Turtle Boy. I never thought I could be more stunned or shocked by anything, but I am. So let's get to the Proctor update. Let me go to Deaver's words stick with all of us. It's crazy. Yep, they absolutely do. It's just her. We'll watch her testimony again next Friday night. I was looking to see. I guess I didn't put up. thought I put up a photo of my thumbnail, but I guess I didn't. But on the thumbnail for next week for the Halloween party, and let me see, maybe I did. Let me see if it's at the end. This has just got all my links for tonight of things I wanted to talk to you about. So no, I don't think I did, but let me check one more. Yeah, no, I guess I didn't do it. I found a great picture of Deaver that I put on the thumbnail for next Friday, where she just looks miserable and absolutely like sick with herself. Michael Cox email exposed in the last 40 years. Yes, we will definitely talk about that next Friday night for sure. I see, as calendar showing Deaver. Yeah, so they all lied. I mean, this is Friday Night Lies. This is what we love to do here, is call out the lies. These people all lied. I mean, they lied through their teeth, so many of them for so long. The lies just kept on coming constantly, and it's despicable, and it's just it's wrong. It's against everything that most of us believe in. I'm trying to get back to John O'Keefe here so we can just put up his picture again for a little bit. Wow, it's doing funky things. Stop that. There we go. Keeps taking away my John O'Keefe picture. I don't know why. StreamYard, quit messing with me tonight. Stop it. Stop messing with me, StreamYard. There we go. So yes, Cox is such a liar. Yes, oh boy. So guys, I mean, once you've been in any job, once you've been a doctor, a nurse, a lawyer, a cop, a firefighter, whatever you've done in your life, whatever accountant, whatever job you chose to do, school teacher, you're going to stick up for your coworkers. It's just innate. It's innate in us to want to stick up for our coworkers, and there's nothing wrong with that. But you should always take a break and make sure that they deserve it and that they're worthy of you sticking up for them, right? And so in the beginning, I wanted to give Cox the benefit of the doubt, the chief of police for the Boston Police Department, or whatever his title, whatever they use there. I wanted to give him the benefit of the doubt, because I try to always give police the benefit of the doubt, because I still believe that most police officers are good, and that they go into this job wanting to do good and wanting to serve and protect their communities, and that the scumbag cops, the dirty cops, are few and far between. But lately, all the different cases we've been covering, it's harder and harder to feel that way, because it just feels like we keep on seeing it, one department after the other, and then you start to add up, okay, we got 3 in Florida right now. We've got 3 in Massachusetts, maybe more. We got 1 in Colorado. We've got one. It starts to be very concerning that there's that many just kind of not just dirty cops doing dirty, underhanded things, but scary cops doing SA and other things behind the scenes, misogynistic crap to women, and acting like, the whole people brush it off as locker room talk. That's bullshit. Okay. My sons have never spoken that way. I've never heard them speak that way. They've said they don't speak that way. Their friends even told me, we don't talk like this. Most guys don't talk like this. And there's only a few, far and few between, that do the locker room talk. And that most men are good and don't talk that way about women and respect women. But you're always going to have some bad apples. They're always going to be out there. And so some of them end up on police departments, and they are nasty to women. They talk bad about women, as we know Proctor did in the text messages, and God only knows what else in his private life that we're going to find out because of these phone extractions. It's almost terrifying to even, oh boy, want to know or think about right now. Let me go back to your comments here real quick. Yeah. Sherry D, what a dum-dum on the part of Cox Public. Right. Yeah, exactly. Digital forensics exam. Hi, 3 Clerk Monte. Great to see you back. Digital forensics examiner. Sherry D, I want to know, was Cox and Brian Albert working the beat side by side years, decades ago? Oh, hey, I would love to know that. I wonder, we should be able to find that out. Let me write that down. That should be able to be found out. I bet Sean on the golf knows that. Let's see if we can find that out. Cox and Albert work together. And you all know that Cox was involved in that really bizarre situation when he was young. He was working undercover when he was a younger cop. I'm trying to stay hydrated so the ER doc doesn't yell at me. And he was shot, or no, I take that back, beat up by his own people because he was dressed undercover and they thought he was the bad guy. And he was literally beaten up within an inch of his life because nobody was listening or understanding that they were screwing up. So that was a huge thing. And so that I don't know it, but Charity, that's a really good question. But now it's starting to look like there's reasons why Boston was so quiet, right? We were all wondering, why aren't more Boston officers speaking up? Why haven't more Boston officers been willing to go on live streams and talk about John and what a great officer he was and their opinion on how he died? And a lot of other, retired officers that I have been able to speak with that I've met here in Florida, and other old associates of mine from Wisconsin totally believe that he was struck in the head with something. Either he was shoved or pushed and he hit his head on something on the ground, or he was struck with something on the head. One or the other. It was a massive head injury, and his other injuries don't align with being hit by a car whatsoever. So that just leaves you with, that's the only obvious answer, right? So why weren't the Boston cops there for him? Why weren't they speaking out? Why weren't they coming to his trial and asking to sit with the family if they believed it was Karen, or behind Karen if they didn't believe, that he was hit by a car? It's all very bizarre. It's almost as if they were ordered not to, right? And so is Cox way more of a friend with Brian Albert than anyone ever realized or knew? I think that's very possible. I think it's looking more and more like that. And oh yes, Sherry D, thank you. Yes, Ellen Greenberg was in 2011, and most of you know that I have covered Ellen Greenberg's case on Wednesday nights. I've had many live streams about it, and the recent news. And thank you for mentioning that, you guys, because I want to talk about that for a minute. Let's just bridge into that for a second, because the Ellen Greenberg case is an absolute travesty. And because I have literally followed this case way before I ever knew any of you or live streamed, I have known about Ellen Greenberg's death since it happened. I've watched everything you could watch on it. I've watched Joel Surviving the Survivors coverage before I ever started live streaming. I watched Gavin Fish, who has, if you're ever interested to learn everything there is to know about Ellen Greenberg, that's where I went. I went to Gavin Fish. And we are still advocating for Sarah Ebersol, who is still missing in Marion County, 2.5 years now. It'll be 3 years in March. No movement on her case. No, nothing. It's just heartbreaking that a mother of a child could just go missing into thin air, and they can't find her. These two lovely people are also still missing, as far as I know. So I could be wrong. I'm going to look into it, and I'm going to do an update on all of our victims that we've advocated for the last year on one of my Wednesday episodes. I try to keep Fridays to everything Karen Reed, John O'Keefe, and Massachusetts. But I will do an update on the rest of our missing. But let me and Suzanne Morphew as well. Let me get to Ellen Greenberg. So Ellen, again, was born in 1983. She passed away on January 26, 2011. Nobody, I have never even seen a post, heard of a post, nobody other than her fiance's family, or maybe his closest friends, believes that she unalived herself. 20 stab wounds to the front and the back. It's absolutely biomechanically impossible. Several experts have weighed in on this. And Sam has continued to live his best life. He moved to New York. He still works for the Golf Channel. That's all public record. He got married. He's got 2 kids. And in my heart of hearts, I believe that he unalived her. I don't know the exact reason. If it was rage because she was going to break up with him and leave him, and you don't do that to him. Why did Barry Morphew kill Suzanne Morphew? It's looking 99% sure that he did. Why did Suzanne Clark Simpson's husband? These are apparently happy relationships from all outwardly appearances. They have photos. There were photos up on their social medias days before they were unalived. Same with Anna Walshe. Sandra Birchmore's case is totally different. It's a totally different monster. But these women were married or engaged to these men who loved them supposedly, who they loved supposedly. Suzanne Morphew had 2 daughters. Suzanne Clark Simpson had 4 children. Ellen Greenberg wanted to be a mother someday. And yet one day they are unalived by a parent. What I believe from my years of experience working with domestic violence survivors and victims' families, that they were unalived by the man who loved them. 3 women a day are continuing to be unalived by men who supposedly love them. Now, I don't have statistics on women on men, and I'm not trying to be against men here, because there are women who unalive their husbands, absolutely, but the numbers are staggeringly smaller. And so I have put my effort towards working volunteering in domestic violence shelters and working with women. And that's what I live stream. I live stream for victims of homicide who are women, but I do not ignore, or do I, discredit the women or the men who have been victims of women who have, hurt them in a domestic violence situation, because that does happen. It's just staggeringly lower than men on women. So these are Ellen Greenberg's parents. They have fought tirelessly since 2011, lawsuits, hiring private investigators, attorneys, fees, hiring their own medical examiner. It's been unbelievable for this beautiful couple. I have been lucky enough to get to email a little bit with Sandy. I haven't spoken with Josh or met Josh, but they know that we advocate for them here. They know we're just a small channel, that we do our best that we can, but that we're one of the many that advocate for justice for Ellen Greenberg. And they were dealt another severe blow in the 2 weeks that I've been gone, that I've been sick, that the new medical examiner who works there now has decided to make a statement based, and this will, I don't know if those of you knew it or not, but last week, or 2 weeks ago already now, I was on with Misdemeanor, and Misdemeanor is a true crime podcaster, live streamer, who we all found out about via the Adelson case, because she just happened to be in court the day before Jimmy was in court, Auntie Deb, and many thought that that was Auntie Deb, that Auntie Deb had a wig and glasses on. I guess some people thought she looked like him from a distance. If you meet her, you talk to her in her life, she doesn't look anything like Auntie Deb or like even Jimmy in a wig, but she's a very pretty lady. So sorry, Jimmy, but you're just not a pretty lady, even when you're in your wigs. You're funny as all get out, but you're not pretty. But Misdemeanor, she covers cases and she goes to the trial. She's a true crime lady on the aisle, the true crime side, going to the actual trials, and then she live streams about them. So she invited me as a guest. It was so kind of her, and because I had reached out to her on social media when I saw her post, oh, Tanner has a new baby. So he got to go get a new baby today. Sorry for the squeaking. But he's being so well behaved, I can't possibly ever scold my wonderful Tanner. So, and the Doberman is sound asleep, by the way, those of you that love the Doberman Zeus. She was making comments about Ellen Greenberg. So I wrote to her on social media and I said, hey, I know a lot about this case. I've followed it for years. I've covered it on my live stream. I have several live streams in my library on justice for Ellen Greenberg. I'd love to chat with you about it. Well, she wrote me back and invited me. So I was on her show 2 weeks ago. It'll be in Misdemeanor's library. Give her a sub. She's really cool. She really cares a lot about justice and true crime and following cases. And she's very funny. She can be snarky. I really liked her. I enjoyed meeting her. So she's invited me back. I think I'm going to be on her show again Monday. So look for me. I'll put it up on my social medias. She wants to talk more. I have the 911 and I have some of the audio, the visuals that from the surveillance cameras in the lobby that show Sam walking back and forth. And it actually shows him dropping something. And in my opinion, it looked like on purpose, and it looked like a key card. It looked, very similar to, hang on, I actually have something here that will show you. It was like this size. And it was white, just like this. And it looked like he dropped it on purpose, but I don't know. That's just allegedly. But then this man who was in the lobby a lot. Now, it's possible that this man worked in the building, that he's already been cleared. I don't know, but this person picked it up. So it was just so ironic and eerie. And it gave me the chills when I saw it, that a bunch of other people went through the lobby. Nobody bothered to pick up this key card, but this man who was in the lobby a lot during the time that Ellen would have been unalived picks up this card, and I just thought, that doesn't look right. Something does not set right with me with this. So we're gonna talk about that on Monday when I meet with her, and then I'll be doing another live again soon about Ellen Greenberg. I want to keep her name out there. I want to keep the theories out there about what really happened to her, and it's just an absolute tragedy that this young woman who had her whole life ahead of her, she was a school teacher, she was a friend, she was a daughter, the only child of Sandy and Josh. And it's literally heartbreaking. I mean, heartbreaking. But I have to say, Surviving the Survivor, and I noticed, Gavin, they made posts this week that more people are paying attention now. It's taken all this time because Ellen's case was ruled an unaliving of herself, end of story. Mass media said bye-bye because they're so busy, because so many people are getting unalived in our country. And Ellen was forgotten by everybody but her family and the people that love her and care about her, and the Gavin Fishes and the Joel Surviving the Survivor, and there's some other true crime podcasters that have kept her memory alive. And then when I started live streaming, I wanted to do it too. So let's continue to shout out for justice for Ellen Greenberg. She did not stab herself 20 times. Absolutely no way. So if you're interested to know more about it, there's plenty of live streams about Ellen Greenberg in my library. So, all right, guys, we've been going 124. Tanner's been awesome. I'm going to run him out to go to the bathroom. So everybody take a stretch break, and I will be back in 5 minutes, and we'll go back again now. And I want to continue to talk about John O'Keefe, and I want to read to you what Wikipedia says about the case. So I'll be back in 5 minutes after a Tanner break. Thank you, everyone. Thanks for being here. Okay, we are back. Thank you for the stretch break. I just want to catch up with your comments about Ellen Greenberg before we go back and kind of fact check the Wikipedia about John O'Keefe. I'm assuming his family has done it, but I just hadn't thought about it until today, and thought it'd be a good use of our time. Let's see here. Let me go back up and catch up with y'all in the chat. Yeah, Cox got stonewalled, no accountability until he filed a civil suit a year later. Interesting. Yeah, 3 Clark Monte. I mean, I think he went through a lot of his own hell, but that obviously doesn't excuse him possibly helping cover up the death of John O'Keefe because he's allegedly buddies with Brian Albert either, right? Or threatening Dever to lie on the stand and take back the fact that she saw Berkowitz and what is Chief Berkowitz, who's in stage 4 cancer, doing hanging out at the police department during a blizzard? So smart water is good for us if we've had the flu or food poisoning in my case. Why would he be there? There'd be no reason for him to be there. He was not chief at the time. There was an acting chief. He was out ill, passing away, sadly, of cancer, daily. He was not, I don't believe he was curable. Well, thank you, Tanner. That's better than hearing sirens. We got used to hearing sirens every day during the trial for the 2 trials. So anyway, we'll talk, we're going to continue to talk about this next Friday night too, because there's just so much to catch up on from me being out sick for 2 weeks. So I think it was the 90s, Sherry D. It could have been the early 2000s, but I'll look that up. So I'll keep these questions up for next week. I'll write them down so we have them. There's a relatively new creator, master level psychology, many other letters after her name. She isn't giving up on figuring out what happened to. Hey, cool. Who is that? I'd like to know that, because psychology is interesting, and the psychology of homicide, of why people do what they do. Well, hi, Zeus. Would you like a treat? The Doberman is awake. Going to give the Doberman a little treat. These dried chicken things. He loves these. These are really good. Good boy, Doberman. Good boy, Zeus. Yeah, it is Gavin Fish, Charity. He has a whole library of everything to do with Ellen Greenberg. I learned a lot about the Ellen Greenberg case from Gavin Fish, from his live streams and from his library. And then I just made my own slide deck, my own slide deck on her case. Yes, and it turned out to be 23. Exactly. The newest ME is 23 now, not even 20, but now we're up to 23. Still saying she unalived herself, which to me is absolutely ridiculous. And it's more insane than ever when it was just 20 or even 10. But her reasonings behind that, I talked a little bit about that with the misdemeanor on her live 2 weeks ago. My opinions on why, what she's saying her reasoning are makes no sense. Like it's so obvious that she was told what to do, and that this corruption, this high level corruption, is continuing in the non-death investigation of Ellen Greenberg. Is physically impossible. That's right, 3 Clark Monte. What happened to Ellen Greenberg, as alleged by the entire LE judicial system, is physically impossible. And the Greenbergs hired experts to say that, biomechanical experts to say there's no way a human being could have done that to themselves that many times. Physically impossible. And then, yes, Suzanne Morphew, it's horrible as well what happened to Suzanne. And, again, being shot with a tranquilizer gun, that had to have been horrible, because it paralyzes you, but you're still awake. Like, you know what's going on, but you can't move, you can't scream, you can't talk. And that's just, it's sickening, utterly sickening that husbands and fiancés can do this to the people that they supposedly love, because they don't want to share the money, or they don't want to be left. The most dangerous day for a woman who's been in any kind of domestic violence situation, whether it was just verbal or verbal and physical, like we believe Ellen, because Ellen Greenberg had many areas of bruising and various degrees of healing on her body, which is always a sign that she's been getting punched, kicked, hit, jabbed, shoved, on a daily basis for God knows how long. And that is the day you tell them you're leaving them, that you're going to divorce them or that you're going to break up with them, because they lose all power and control over you then. And a lot of them snap, and they, it just makes you like, so like God smacked, like they're just leading their lives. They're going to work. They're taking their kids to soccer games. And then the next day they snap and kill their wives. It just seems so surreal and impossible. It's just hard to wrap our heads around it, the violence of it and the finality of it for the people that it happens to and their loved ones. And then sometimes these guys get away with it. Brian Walshe may get away with it thanks to Proctor. We may have Proctor to thank if he walks and there's no justice for Anna Walshe. Again, there were signs that their marriage was going bad, that there might have been domestic violence, verbally between the two of them. I don't know about physical, but definitely verbal. It's just horrific. Some creators don't want others to speak of other creators. Some creators don't want others to speak of other creators. What do you mean by that, Sherry D? And it's probably true. I guess it is, but I'm not sure what you mean by it. So put some context to that for me, because sometimes I get a little behind in the chat because I am the producer and the speaker of this live stream. So it's a little hard to do it all. I may have to get a volunteer down the line on Friday nights to help us with the chat. Misdemeanor is a trip. Yeah, she's really funny. I really like her. So I hope I get to go on Monday and go back to her show and talk about Ellen Greenberg. 14 years of the system enabling Pennsylvania cover up justice for the Greenbergs. Absolutely, 3 Clark Monte. It's just utterly sickening. And calling out corruption and calling out dirty cops and dirty government. This is a prime example, though, is that they can get away with it because they're powerful. People in government are powerful. And when they back the blue as well, and they get involved in it, it's hard to beat them. I mean, the Greenbergs, Ellen Greenberg's parents have done everything they possibly could do. They have done everything. They have spent so much money, over $700,000 on lawyers and medical examiners and forensic specialists and on and on and on. And the system is beating them. I mean, now that they got this medical examiner to not overturn it, there's no investigation. She won't overturn it. So you can't investigate something that isn't there. If the medical examiner says she unalived herself, then there's nothing to investigate. So it would have to be the FBI. Come here, Tanner. Come here, get your baby. Come here, get your baby. It would have to be the FBI that would step in because they see the corruption now. The corruption's just too obvious. Sorry, guys. He's getting bored with this tonight, but he's done good. We're pretty far in tonight without a Tanner meltdown. It's an hour 38 in. Good boy, Tanner. Go get your baby. Go get your toy. It would have to be the FBI now. There's no one else to save the Greenbergs, to save Ellen Greenberg. So we all have to keep advocating. We have to keep shouting. Now the rest of the media is going to get involved, which, sort of pisses you off a little bit if you've been fighting for her like a lot of these content creators have, and the mainstream media has completely ignored Ellen Greenberg. And now all of a sudden it's going to be sexy enough for them because Dateline did an episode, obviously, and other now that this is coming out and people are crying out and screaming out more because of the just ridiculousn's of it, now it's 23 stab wounds, not just 20. It makes you mad, though, that now the mainstream media suddenly cares. So it's always hard to swallow when they finally decide to start covering something that a lot of us have been covering in our small ways. Obviously, Gavin, Fish, and Surviving the Survivor are huge content creators, so they're not small at all. But yet they're not, they're not mainstream media. They're not being paid the giant bucks like the reporters on the ABCs and the NBCs and the CBSs and the Foxes. And so, but good, more power the better, more voices the better. And let's keep praying for Ellen and her family that they get justice. And thank you to everybody that shows up here on Friday nights, for John O'Keefe and for Karen Reed that care about Ellen Greenberg. It's for those of you that live in Massachusetts. Pennsylvania is not that far away from all of you. So did I miss anything? I don't think so. We're continuing to go over Ellen Greenberg, and I'm putting up your comments, Sherry D. Yes, I did. Food poisoning. It was horrible. And the worst part is that the doctors told me when I first had it, I was sick for like a week, that it was self-correcting kind, that it was like Montezuma's revenge kind, that I actually did have an E. coli strain, but that it was the self-correcting kind, that I did not need antibiotics, that I would get better. Well, I seemed to get better. Things seemed to go back to normal. I wasn't running to the bathroom every 2 seconds, and I was eating. But I just never felt right. Like I just felt terrible for the last month. Never felt right. And then last Thursday, I got home from taking Tanner to the vet, and I went to the beach, and I came back and was prepping actually for Friday Night Lives, and I got violently ill, like the worst ill ever, worse than the first time that it happened. And then I was sick for almost 4 days, and I was like, oh crap, I have to go. I got to go to the ER. So I did. And I ended up there for like 8 hours. And then they did all these tests and found out that it's still in my system. And now I'm on this 3-day power antibiotic. So let's cross our fingers. Some of my blood work is still kind of sketchy, but hopefully it'll all pop back up when I get retested in a couple of weeks. So I'm drinking a lot of this smart water with electrolytes. They told me it's called rehydration therapy. So I have to do tons of smart water and just drink tons of regular water. I'm eating a boring, bland diet so that my colon can heal, because my colon's inflamed. So it wasn't just the food poisoning, that having the damn thing in there for a month inflamed my colon. So yeah, it's been a bitch, guys, a bitch of a 2 weeks, but we're getting there. We're getting back. We're getting there slowly but surely. I'm going to take it very easy tomorrow and watch all my college football, but I'm just so glad I was well enough to come on with y'all tonight and do some more justice seeking for John O'Keefe and speak about Kelsey and Ellen and Sandra and Suzanne Morphew, Suzanne Clark Simpson, all of these wonderful people that deserve to still be living, that are not, because they were taken by the hand of someone else who couldn't control their temper, who couldn't control their ego. Let's see here. Social change warriors. Ask me name of the newish creator who hasn't stopped getting justice for John. Oh, Samantha. Is it Benangio? I don't belong here. Oh yeah. I know who that is. I don't belong here. I got to go look her up. I saw her. I've run across her a few times. I'm going to go check her out. I'll give her a sub, and I'll see if she'd be willing to come on and join us sometime. If any of you have been on her show or channel and you know her email it to me, please, if you can. Otherwise, I'll go hunting for it. Starting naming each toy. Oh yeah. Tanner will learn, help himself, challenge mentally. Oh, that's cool. Actually, I do that with some of them. He's got his flamingo. He's got his bone. He's got the new toy that we just got today is, what's it called again? Now I forgot about it. Now I can't think what it's called. I'll get it in a minute. It's you guys will know it's famous. It's a famous cartoon character that they made into a dog toy now too. He picked out himself. So when I take him to the dogs, to the store once every couple weeks or once a month, he walks around all the aisles. And sometimes I think he's going to choose something, and then he poo-poos it and walks away and doesn't even like it. And then some things I don't think he's going to touch, he touches. And today he grabbed this little lamb. It's the lamb. Can someone help me remember? It's the famous lamb. And the lamb is purple, which I love purple. So he picked the lavender lamb, and he was all excited, and he walked out of the store with it. And I'm like, hey, wait a minute, buddy, you got to pay for that. Come back here. So I live in Pennsylvania. Yes, Elizabeth, this was in a suburb of Philadelphia. If you go to my live stream library, you will see I have a lot of live streams on Ellen, and you can catch up a little bit on her case. But I am going to be speaking with Misdemeanor hopefully on Monday, and then I'm going to do a catch-up live stream about Ellen in the next couple of weeks in honor of domestic violence survivors and domestic violence, because I didn't get to do that last week and this week because of being sick. So I'll definitely do another live stream on Suzanne Clark Simpson, Suzanne Morphew. Both of their husbands are in jail, and Ellen Greenberg, whose fiance is not in jail. But we're going to do a live stream for all three of those ladies coming up in the next couple of weeks. Let's see here. She only does one live per week. Okay, releases videos. Thank you, Sherry D. I have run across her, and I will look her up. Yes, Pork Chop and Lance. Thank you. That's who it is. And so, of course, Zeus is getting into it too. I should have bought two, but I only bought one today. Next time I'll get Zeus one. He needs a new one too. Okay, great. Wednesdays usually at 10. Oh, interesting, because Wednesdays is for women night when I usually do all the domestic violence survivors. So maybe I'll see if she would consider joining me some Wednesday. I'll try to get a hold of her. Um, my guy boxer Jax has Lambie. Oh, how cute. Okay, yes, we all have to fight for justice for Ellen. It's just atrocious. So, okay, great. Thanks everybody. Thanks for all your comments. I really appreciate you all so much. I just want to read a little bit tonight to kind of finish this off, and then I have a couple just short clips that we can take a look at too. And then I'm probably going to run out of steam. I don't want to overdo it so that I can continue this hopefully next week on Monday with misdemeanor, and then for sure next Friday for our Halloween party. So I don't want to overdo myself tonight. So the Wikipedia, I'm assuming his family, looks at this and updates it if it's wrong or not. I don't know, but I like to think somebody does because that's what Wikipedia is all about. The death of John O'Keefe took place at 6:03 a.m. on January 29th at 2022. So I guess that seems early to me. I don't recall them calling that as his time of death, but maybe they did. When O'Keefe, a Boston police officer, was found unconscious in the front lawn of fellow Boston officer Brian Elbert. We know that's all true. O'Keefe's girlfriend, Karen Reed, had dropped him off at a party at the Elbert household shortly after midnight. A little more than shortly, more like 20 after, right? And returned early that morning to find his body. O'Keefe was declared dead at 7:59 a.m. at a local hospital. An autopsy performed 2 days later found that he had died of impact injuries to the head, although his manner of death was undetermined. So that all is accurate, right, guys? Nothing wrong so far there. Reed was subsequently arrested and charged with manslaughter, motor vehicle homicide, and leaving the scene of a motor vehicle collision causing death. Yes. Prosecutors alleged that she had killed O'Keefe by backing into him. Yes, they did, with her car after dropping him off. Reed's defense team alleged that O'Keefe was murdered in the house and that police officers involved in the case used their resources to taint the investigation and frame Reed. We believe that is all true. Following a grand jury indictment, Reed's charges were upgraded to second-degree murder, manslaughter, while operating under the influence of alcohol. That was just ridiculous, and leaving the scene of personal injury and death. So her first criminal trial resulted in a mistrial on July the 1st. Hard to believe it was that long ago, 2024, due to a hung jury. She was tried for a second time beginning on April 1st, 2025, and ultimately found not guilty on all three major charges. She was found guilty of operating a vehicle under the influence, receiving the standard sentence of 1 year probation. So that all sounds true and accurate to me. And the last paragraph in the beginning is the case grew national attention due to local journalist Aidan Kearney's investigation of evidence of foul play in the death of O'Keefe. His multi-part series, Can't Cover Up, exposes the close relationships between law enforcement and those who were present at the Canton home on the night of O'Keefe's death. And that's all true. So we'll get into the rest of it. I want to save the rest of it for next Friday Night Lies, because we're pretty much going to spend all of Friday Night Lies next week talking about the bad characters in trial 1 and 2 and who were the scariest faces and who lied the most during trials 1 and 2. And then we'll continue to honor John O'Keefe by going over his background and kind of a grain of salt. Yeah, exactly. Wikipedia grain of salt. Yeah. But you got to admit, it's really quite something, because just about anybody you want to know something about, like I said, you're only going to be in Wikipedia if you're super famous or you died and got unalived by someone else. That's the only way to get to Wikipedia. So, but it is a place to go if you're interested in anybody's background. Dogs are spoiled. Yes, they are, especially mine too, my grandpuppy and mine. Sherry D says time of death called at the hospital 7:53 a.m. I think. Yep, exactly. All right. So let's take a little chat about something that appears to be mean girl drama, but I don't think that's all there is to it. So, I don't know if you guys have been paying attention to this at all this week, in the last 2 weeks, but there is a true crime channel called Hidden True Crime. And I have followed this lady, Lauren, because she's done really a good job, in my opinion, at some of the cases that she's covered. She's not an advocate per se. She's a former journalist for a couple different networks in Utah. And I think she's heavily involved in the Mormon faith. And not that that matters, but I think she talks about it a lot. And so I think she's on something called, what's it called? It's some kind of a podcast for the Mormon faith. Her name is Lauren. And oh, you got to go, Sherry. Thank you for coming. Great to see you tonight. We're going to just chat a little bit about Lauren tonight and then lying out her ass. Okay. Well, we're going to finish up with more about Lauren lying out her ass, according to Sherry D. Next Friday as well. This is kind of a two-part show. Tonight, I'm kind of introducing you to all the things I wanted to talk about. And then next Friday night, we'll be able to dive a little bit deeper into all of this. I wanted to ease myself back into live streaming very slowly with the 2-hour live tonight after being as ill as I was. I'm telling you now, read all the documents. Well, I literally have been watching Aiden's coverage of this, and it's been, to be honest with you, incredibly comical in a lot of ways. But also, I don't want to bully this woman. I don't know yet. I tend to like to stay right in the middle, right? I don't want to board anybody's train until I know what's going on. So I appreciate that. Good night. Yes, Sherry. I appreciate all of your opinions. And if those of you have looked into this further than I have, because I've been really sick, I haven't been able to do a lot, but I did watch Aiden's coverage and it was very fascinating. So I just want to show, to end our night tonight, we have about 10 minutes. I promised myself I would only go 2 hours. I want to show a little bit on, about his coverage of her. So it's going to be kind of weird fair use because it's a clip of his show showing a clip of her show, which is kind of crazy. So it'll be interesting to see what happens if anybody strikes me, either Aiden or Lauren or both of them. But for fair use purposes, I should not get struck because I am commentating on his commentating of her. And so let me pull this up here. Give me a second to find it. I watched it the last couple days that he's been covering her ninth. So she had a 9-hour live stream and she felt the need to do that because she decided to drop her case in court because she was upset with Law and Crime trying to bring a camera in and then put all of her business out there to everybody. And that was very upsetting to her, which I'm, assuming it would be upsetting to all of you. Now, some people are saying, isn't that a bit of a hypocrisy? Because that's what you do. You have a true crime channel and you share true crime and you go to court and you live stream about people's lives and people in court. And whatever side you take is the side you take, whether the person did it or didn't do it, you don't know for sure. And you're watching the trial like everyone else, and the jury gets to decide if that person is innocent or guilty. And so how is it that you're upset about another true crime channel that's, obviously quite large coming into your trial? So that seemed odd to me. I'm not going to lie. I'm not trying to put her down. I'm not bullying her or anything like that. But I just thought that was a bit odd. Seemed a little bit hypocritical to me. So I am pulling up Aiden's live stream, which is just beyond just this whole thing is just so weird. Like, who would live stream for 9 straight hours in defense of themselves and also calling out a supposed alleged stalker? But for me, 9 hours is intense, and it feels very over the top. Like my social worker side said, this is just not very good and can't be good for you. So I'm certainly not going to show all of it. I'm just going to show bits and pieces of it. So give me a second to do my production stuff that I have to do in order to share my screen with you and bring this up. But I'm showing it because and talking about it to end our night tonight because it affects everybody who live streams and who gets bullied. I mean, a lot of live streamers do get bullied on the internet. What is bullying versus harassment? What is harassment versus stalking? There's a lot, and it's got legalese, attached to all of it. And social media can be downright cruel and mean. So you have to have a thick skin to do live streaming, regardless of your topic, whether you're true crime or advocacy, or you're live streaming about how to cook a lasagna. You're going to get criticized. People are going to make fun of you. They're going to say bad things about you. So you have to really get a thick skin. So, okay, Sherry, Lauren didn't get bullied. I appreciate that you think that. And I think it's very possible that she got maybe a little bullied. I think there's some mean girl stuff going on here that we might not be aware of that happened in the background. I don't know if any of you have ever watched The Housewives of whoever, the Housewives of Beverly Hills, the Housewives of this, the Housewives of that. I only watch it so that I can criticize it because I don't want to criticize something I've never watched. I just find it to be so bizarre that people actually watch these women. They are so out of touch. I'm sorry, but they are so out of touch with reality. That's my opinion. But every single person who's a housewife is out of touch with reality. They do not live in reality. And so people are willing to give up an hour, 2 hours of their time to watch these women have arguments and be catty and backstab each other and talk mean about each other and go to lavish restaurants and wear thousands and thousands of dollars worth of clothes and carry thousands and thousands of dollars worth of handbags. I can't do it. I mean, give me a fucking college football game any day, the most boring blowout, before I can stand to watch that stuff. But I will turn it on for a little bit at a time because I just want to, I got to see what's out there before I can criticize it. Same with the Mormon Wives, this show that came out. I was like, what? When I first heard of it, I'm like, excuse me? They're what? They're doing what? They're cheating on all their husbands. And I'm like, no, there can't be more. There can't be more housewives of somebody. The Lives of the Mormon Wives or whatever it's called. But I had to watch it because I cannot criticize something that I haven't watched. So I hate to say this because I don't want to downplay if there is bullying going on, whether it's on the end of this Christine, or I believe her name is Christine, or Lauren and their followers and their little group of minions I used to call them minions because of what happened with Miss Shorty and Jason, where they collectively decide you are not a good person. And they collectively decide they're going to try to take you down. They're going to try to ruin your channel, get people to unsubscribe from you, take you out. Why? I don't know. Why any other content creator wants to harm another content creator because they disagree with them about something absolutely makes no sense to me. Why you want to use your platform for that? Why you want to use your Twitter or your Facebook platform for that? It's mind-boggling to me. But those of us that have been following the Karen Reed and John O'Keefe case, we have seen this exact same thing happening. What happened with Lauren and this other woman, they were friends first. They were somewhat coworkers. I believe from what I've learned that this other woman, is it Christine? Did I get that right? Was her producer. Because like I said, the big content creators can pay someone to be their producer. They can pay someone to have this stuff ready to pull up. Like I have to take the time to go up to my toolbar where I have everything saved for y'all. And I have to go out of the screen and I have to go into production and I have to grab what I want to show you. But they have people to do that for them. And so Jessica Machado has a producer now for her show. So a lot of these bigger content creators, they can afford to pay someone to do these things. They had a falling out. It sounds to me from what I've heard from Lauren's end of it is that she was doing mean girl stuff. I think she admitted to that in tweets, not tweets, in messages, in text messages, private messages with her little group of ladies, and said something disparaging about this woman. And then somebody in her group turned on her and took a screenshot of it, because that's what people love to do now. So people, do not put something in the chat box you're not willing to stand by. Do not text somebody something or email somebody something or go on Twitter X or Facebook. Stand by your words. If you want to say them, say them. If they're not great or if you fuck up, then say you fucked up, admit you screwed up, say you're sorry and mean it. But don't ever think that what you type on social media or in these live streams, these friend zones, aren't seen or screenshotted by someone. I can take a screenshot of my own chat box right now. I mean, I have my chat box go away when we're done live streaming, but a lot of people don't. And text messaging, I get rid of my text messages. I don't have any reason to keep threads of like a million text messages. I just delete them every once in a while and start over with that friend or my family member. Or it's just crazy to log jam up your phone like that to me. But people like save text messages for years and years and years of talking to someone. And then someone can go back and screenshot those and blast you all over social media and try to take something out of context and hurt you. Why people want to do these things, I don't understand. Why people want to hurt people. It's one thing if someone has hurt you and come after you. Handle it privately, handle it personally. Don't be friends with that person anymore. Exit them from your life. But you don't have to do it publicly. You don't have to do it on your live stream or on your Facebook or your Twitter. And we've been seeing that in the Free Karen Reed movement for months and months and months, all these battles within the Free Karen Read movement, with the antis, without the antis, Free Karen Read this side, Free Karen Read that side of the track. And it's just overwhelming, and it just keeps getting worse almost every day, it feels like. I think that's what's gone on in this little world, in this true crime world of Lauren's and her people, maybe others that follow true crime. And this content creator is obviously has her own channel as well. It sounds like they just had a disagreement. It got out of hand. People were backstabbing, sharing screenshots. And then I think this person was trying to defend themselves, and they decided to do it on their live stream. I don't agree with it, but they can do it. It's legal. They are allowed to, with the First Amendment right, to say whatever they want to say. I don't personally feel it was the level of stalking. For what I've learned about it in the last couple of days since I felt better, I don't think it was stalking. So I'm afraid, I think Lauren took it too far, and she used the wrong branch of the law. I think this was a civil matter. If she wanted to try to go for harassment or disparaging her reputation, that's civil. That's not a crime. It's not criminal. So that's just my opinion right now. And I think several of you in the chat have been saying, Sherry D says nothing happened to Lauren. I don't agree with that completely. I don't think nothing happened to her. I think mean girl-itis happened to her, and it's real. It exists. I've had it happen to me. I have thankfully don't consider myself ever having been a mean girl or never done anything purposely mean to anyone. I've screwed up. I've done stupid shit. I've talked behind someone's back before and regretted it. I think we all have. But there's a difference between screwing up, being human, getting caught up sometimes in that whole thing of talking behind others' backs when you know you shouldn't, and being an actual mean girl where it's like premeditated, or you constantly are doing this constantly in your life to other women. I think this is mean girl-itis that was going on in these two fractions of groups, and that now they've split. Now you've got your Lauren supporters and you've got your Christine. I'm sorry if I'm saying her name wrong. I think it's Christine. But I'm going to beg food poisoning sickness for the last 2 weeks, but I've tried to catch up on this the best I can, because I think it's another example of how people are using social media. In this case, I believe she was using TikTok to air out her grievances. Why? Just forget it. Don't be friends anymore. I mean, unless she's done something illegal to you or stolen from you or is bad mouthing you and trying to take your channel down, or you're doing that to her, then you could get civil law involved. But why are you getting everyone involved like this on social media? And then, like I said, Lauren doing a 9-hour stream is absolute banana boats to me. Julie and I have gone crazy when we were doing Friday Night Lives, when we were still doing our trial review and going over all of the witnesses. We had a couple 4 or 5 hour streams, which to me is insane. And I never expected to do that, nor did I want to do that. But it was just, we would get on a roll and time would just fly, and we'd take our breaks, and then we'd come back and we'd both be wide awake, and why not? But there's a limit, and people don't want to sit that long. No, and 9 hours, why not split that up into like 3-hour sessions? I mean, why did you feel the need to purposely know maybe that you were going to go that long? I really don't understand it. Her husband's a psychologist or a psychiatrist. He's a PhD. I don't understand why he okayed that. She's having struggles. She's depressed. She admitted it. She even admitted ideation, which is horrible and terrible, that this has affected her in such a terrible negative way. So why is her husband letting her live stream for 9 hours? It's physically draining. It's emotionally exhausting. It's just everything that's just wrong. You should never do it. It should never happen. I don't understand it. So that's that. Okay. So let me share my screen, because now I'm going over by 3 minutes of my time. And I do want to show a little bit of this, and then we will talk about everything we've talked about tonight. We will get a little deeper, plus anything new that pops up this week. Let's hope it's quiet. But we have Halloween night after my trick-or-treaters are gone at 9 Eastern. I'll come on live in my costume, and it'll be great. It'll be fun. And everybody bring a beverage of your choice, alcohol, non-alcohol, bring snacks. I will have my costume on, and we will go over all of this again, and anything you want to talk about, and you're all welcome on the platform. If you want to show off your costume, if you want to talk, if you want to have an opinion that's not just in the friend zone, you want to come up here and show your face, you are welcome next Friday Night Lives. I hope that you will consider it. So let me share my screen, and let's just take a look at what Aiden had to say about all of this. He did several, by the way. This was like the third one, I think. The first one was pretty interesting because he did make an effort to stay neutral, but it didn't last long. Lauren rubbed him the wrong way really quickly when he tried to stay neutral a couple days ago. Maybe it was his Saturday stream. I don't remember, but his first one, he did try to stay neutral. But by this one, he's clearly no longer neutral. Let me
guaranteed to be read.
Hear
you
this.
can click at the link at the top for Turtle Chat. You can write whatever, say whatever, and pay whatever, and I will read that message out loud
you guys can
to the
see
class. Or you can do the same on Cash App at $.
You let me know
Uncle
if you
Turtle
can hear
Boy,
it. Those
Uncle
are still
Turtle
with
Boy,
me.
and we can do it that way. All right, so let's bring this up. Let's keep going. All right.
And sexually explicit communications.
Oh, sexually
impact on petitioners' emotional and psychological well-being, potentially including mental health treatment.
Should I put the browse back on?
Life,
you guys want the browse?
Employment
I'll
opportunities,
put the browse back
disrupted
on.
relationships.
I'm going to play
relocated residence and altered daily routines.
Look how serious she is.
Personal relationships and intimate details respondent has used to harass or manipulate, and the financial impact and economic hurt, which I've avoided. These matters go to the core of personal dignity and privacy.
Well, they
are not matters of legitimate public concern. They are. None of this that you are watching tonight is a matter of your public concern until all of a sudden I realize I don't know who's going to protect me, and I need to make all of this known. 4, media coverage would enable respondents' ongoing campaign of harassment. Respondent has demonstrated a pattern of harassing behavior, privately and publicly, despite petitioner's request not to be contacted, including threats to expose her, to burn her kingdom to the fucking ground, and to put her head on a platter. More recently, the respondent's behavior has escalated, including 6 blatant violations of the temporary protective order on September 5th through 7th, 2025, and even attempts to incite others to violence through multiple social media accounts created for the sole purpose. Media coverage would provide respondent with 1, court-sanctioned details to incorporate into defamatory posts and communications. 2, additional platforms to disseminate the harassment, news articles, social media sharing, perceived legitimacy by associating harassment with news coverage. Permanent searchable internet records linking petitioner's name to these allegations, and specific quotes from petitioner's testimony to exert, mischaracterize, and weaponize. This is not speculative. This is the predictable continuation of the respondent's established, documented conduct. This court's proceedings should not become a tool for the abuser.
Ooh, strong words.
No compelling public interest justifies media attendance, but certainly the attendance of unauthenticated, unverifiable media. No compelling.
So she's saying
media has not been identified.
I like how she says no compelling interest. I like how she reads these filings as if it's just a fact, as if the judge is rating them. This is her own lawyer rating this. Of course, she's going to say. Of course, he's going to say whatever she's paying him to say. There's no compelling media interest. Well, I'm interested, so I think there is a compelling media interest. You are a content creator who is literally suing someone over not suing somebody, but like trying to get somebody locked up over a fucking TikTok,
right?
And preventing that person from attending CrimeCon. It seems like you're bullying them. I'm interested,
and that's very true. He's not wrong there. I mean, as soon as you sue somebody in court, I mean, as soon as you ask for what she's asking for, if she's asking for a restraining order, she's claiming this person is stalking her, which is serious charges. Those are very serious charges. I mean, stalking is somebody who sits out in front of your house, takes pictures of you, follows you around. It doesn't, to me, look like this woman did any of that. It is, at the very worst, she was bullying her. Now, Sherry D and MCAT, you're both saying she didn't bully her, but I mean, I beg differ. I think what is bullying, right? So she was definitely being critical of her in a negative way. Was it the level of bullying? I don't know, but I mean, she's considered that she's being stalked, but even me, I'm a small content creator, only have 1,070 people, which I love all of you, but our numbers are nothing compared to these other people. Lauren has 300,000 followers. Bad people, there's a lot of bad people out there, and they get obsessed with these cases, and they hate you if you take an opposite opinion of theirs in a case like this guy that's been hating on me for a while. I didn't even know existed. He's been in the background until this last week. It was the first time he ever attacked me on social media. He's never shown up in our chat boxes. He's never written to me, but he hates me. So he made it very clear this week with some of the nasty things he called me. I think he called me an old hag. And I said, oh, so 62 is old to you? I'm in the prime of my life. I don't know what age you are, but I'm feeling good. I'm in the prime of my life once I get over this food poisoning. I don't consider myself even remotely old. And I find it funny when with this Golden Bachelor being on again, that I got to make myself a note to talk about that next Friday too, because somebody, I think it was Cosmopolitan, and I'm going to write a mean response. The writer of an article was saying that this year's Golden Bachelor, that all the old people are so cute. And I'm just kind of like, what? And like, one of the finalists was a biomedical engineer. I mean, she's 62 years old and she was a biomedical engineer. That's not cute. That's multi-levels of degrees and years of experience. The other finalist was a freaking firefighter and a bomb squad expert. And she's calling these women, she's calling them old and cute. We're not old people when we're in our 60s. Wait till you get in your 60s, those of you that are 30s and 40s. The 50s, you already know it's coming. You can see it around the bend. But those of you that are in your 30s and 40s, we are not old. We are young. We are 60-some years old. We've worked our whole lives. We've had careers. We've raised children. We deserve your respect. We demand your respect. So I'm going to write to this lady who wrote this Cosmopolitan article, and I'm going to talk about that next Friday Night Lies, because that really pissed me off. It really did. Puppies are cute. Kittens are cute. People in their 60s, sure, we can be cute, but we are smart. We are proud of our careers. We're proud of our children, our grandchildren, and we deserve respect. So I'll get into that more next Friday Night Lies. What? You don't look your age. Oh, thank you, Elizabeth. You are so cute. You are so cute, Elizabeth. I was born in 1963 on Valentine's Day, so I will be 63. This is going to be my 1963 born 63 birthday. So we will definitely have a live stream again. We had a live stream last year on Valentine's Day because I have no life. I have no boyfriend, no husband, no one down the road even at this moment. I went on a date a couple months ago and it was nice. The person was a great person, but I'm not feeling it right now. I don't think I have it in me to do it, but I don't expect to have a date this year on my 63rd birthday either, because I celebrate my birthday during the day. I always go for lunch with my family and my friends, and because we don't want to get into the whole Valentine's Day thing, because some of my friends are single too, and trying to get a reservation on Valentine's Day night is hell, and you have to pay way too much money. So I always do birthday breakfast, brunch, or birthday lunch with all my friends. And then I'm just at home, after like 8 o'clock. So last year I live streamed at like 9 at night on Valentine's Day, and it was great. I had all my Valentine's Day decorations, my balloons. Of course, I wore a pink sweater with hearts on it. So plan on it. If you're going to be the Lonely Hearts Club, or if your husband will be in bed and sleep by 9 o'clock on Valentine's Day, or your significant other, book it. Plan on a Valentine's Day special episode of Social Change Warriors. So thank you, Elizabeth. You're wonderful. Oh, Elizabeth. Yes, I'm proud to be 64. Of course we should be. I mean, my goodness, we've lived a whole life. And when I read that article, I was sick, but I was mad. So I'll find the article and read it to all next Friday, and we will talk about it. And I am going to read you what I write and send it into the newspaper. So we'll see if they say anything about us. Maybe they will. All right, let's wrap it up because I have to get some sleep. Let's watch a little bit more because I have to say, so a lot of you don't like Aiden. That's okay. You don't have to like him. He has moments where he's not very likable. He also is, in my opinion, has become a brilliant investigative journalist. I think the things he's done and what he's been willing to put himself out there to do is really something. And I don't always agree with his takes on things. We don't agree politically, but that's okay. We don't have to, because again, we can be one big happy family when it comes to advocacy for those that have been unalived by the hands of someone else. But when he does his satirist behavior, when he is actually making fun of someone who deserves it, it's funny as hell. And I'm not saying Lauren deserves it. I don't know yet, but he seems to think she does now for some reason. So he drew her eyebrows on. Now, what I thought was so funny, ladies and gentlemen, is that she actually at one point, and I'll find the clip for next Friday night, she says, "I like Botox." And I just laughed because she actually admitted, and I like women that are willing to admit it. If you're going to do it, if you're going to plump up your cheeks, if you're going to plump up your lips, if you're going to do something to your eyes, and if you're going to get rid of these sevens that I, will never get rid of because I will never do Botox, but it's your life, it's your body, do what you want. But admit it. Don't lie and say you've never been touched up, or, oh no, I would never do this. Is just natural plumping cream or whatever. There is no cosmetic company in the world that is able to touch Botox. So if somebody has no forehead lines, no sevens or ones, and no lines around their eyes, and they're over 55 or even over 50, they've had Botox. So I loved it that she admitted it. And I was literally listening to the podcast when she admitted it while I was walking on the beach today, my first time to see the ocean in a week. And I just started laughing. And it suddenly came to me like, I like Botox and I cannot lie. It's for my eyes and for my lips and for myself. I like Botox and I cannot lie. And it just made me think of that song. Of course, I like big butts and I cannot lie. But I love it that she admitted it, and that's cool. So I don't think we should be making fun of it, because if she chooses to have her eyebrows done and her lips plumped and all that, I think it's over the top. I'm sorry, ladies, those of you with these big lips. It's just not good. It's too much. Too much is too much. Everything in moderation, ladies, Botox included. That's just my humble opinion. But you do you be you, and you get to do whatever you want to your own bodies. Yes, he is a riot when he's doing his satirist behavior, and he was definitely on fire with this. So we'll watch a little bit more of this to end our night. And I again, my jury is out. I am not. I do not want to discredit someone being bullied, because it's already happened to me since I started live streaming last year. It was pretty horrific. It was crazy. It made me feel horrible about myself. I almost shut my channel down. So I'm not going to discredit Lauren until I know more about what happened. But just what I've seen so far and what I've heard from the other young woman, yes, he used a magic marker, a permanent magic marker. So I almost lost it when I was watching it live when he did it, when he came back on screen. I almost lost it. I couldn't believe it. Permanent magic marker. So he's, making fun of her. That's legal. There's nothing, that's, people do it all the time. I've been made fun of. Sometimes people deserve it. When they deserve it, they deserve it. So that's just, you either love it or hate it. It's comedy, people. Being a satirist is comedy. It's making fun of people. It's showing their worst moments and making fun of them for comedic relief. And people go to comedy clubs all the time and laugh at far worse things than this. A lot of comics can be really gross and disgusting, and people love it. It's not my cup of tea. I like the funny comics. I like the good, funny humor. I don't love the really nasty humor, but everybody has its own, it's what you love. It's what you love. So we'll go back and watch just a little bit more of this, because the eyebrows it's just ridiculously hysterical.
I mean, it's not up to her to decide what is a compelling interest. The kid has nothing to do with this at all. She's the one that brought her own kid into it, right? No one else is talking about the kid. This Christina person has never even mentioned the kid, right? And so, there's no reason for this not to be aired. And even if it was about a kid, family court law, like Kelsey Fitzsimmons' hearing was streamed yesterday. It's about a fucking kid. It's about custody of a kid.
That's right.
Sorry, it's a court. It's not private. They asked to clear the courtroom. That's on the court audio. Her lawyer asked to clear the courtroom, and the judge was like, "Nah, it's not how it works." So back to this.
Right.
Nor articulated, and cannot articulate any specific public interest that outweighs petitioner's fundamental rights to safety and privacy.
Ooh, serious.
This case does not. Does not involve public officials or government accountability. This case does not involve matters of significant public concern.
It does involve government accountability, because you're asking the government to take away someone else's freedoms.
That's right.
Orders severely restrict your freedoms, what you're able to do.
Absolutely.
They also put you in severe jeopardy of arrest
order
if there's any perceived violations of the order, which she thinks everything. She thinks that not only should Christina never be able to post about her on TikTok, but other people like Lori Heller and all these other women should not be able to come to her defense at all. Like that. So this is why this order is a threat. This does have a governmental interest.
For policy debate. I actually believe it does now. The fact that media in our true crime community is requesting access to civil stalking injunctions. Now that is public concern and policy debate. But my case is not.
Oh, okay.
I'm sorry, but his reaction.
Systematic issues requiring public oversight, allegations of judicial misconduct,
obviously,
or novel legal questions of widespread importance.
I've been live streaming for a year, so
any general interest in court transparency or public proceedings is adequately served by 1, the public document showing that proceedings are occurring, 2, public portions of the record, case history, judgments, orders, 3, the ability of parties to discuss the outcome publicly if they choose, and 4, the resulting written order, which will be public. The presumption of openness does serve important purposes. However, none of these purposes requires permitting attendance of unauthenticated, unverifiable media at the victim's traumatic testimony in a stalking case.
Traumatic?
Moreover, stalking injunction hearings are not proceedings where public access plays a significant positive role in the process. That's Rule 4202.
Oh, sorry.
These are protected proceedings designed to safeguard victims. They're not public forums for debate. Or as I say, tools for abusers.
Tools for abusers. She's very serious.
Electronic media
whenever she
coverage
looks in the
must be
camera,
prohibited.
that's when she's getting
Even
serious.
if the court were inclined to allow some media presence, which petitioner respectfully urges against, electronic media coverage must be absolutely prohibited.
Oh, why?
There are privacy rights of the victims. Requires consideration of the privacy rights of all parties and participants. Petitioners' privacy rights are at the apex of this proceeding. I agree. Electronic recording would create permanent audio-video records of traumatic testimony, enable widespread dissemination beyond those physically present, allow endless replay and sharing on social media and websites, and result in permanent searchable content associating petitioner with this matter. Harm to participant. Electronic media coverage will cause direct harm to petitioner. Severe emotional distress and re-traumatization is 1. Number 2, the chilling of full and truthful testimony. Number 3, increased vulnerability to continued stalking and harassment. Exactly. Number 4, long-term psychological impact from knowing testimony is recorded.
Ooh.
Impairment of dignity and fair administration of justice.
Ooh.
Requiring a stalking victim to testify on camera fundamentally impairs the dignity
You're not
of
a
the proceeding
stalking
and
victim.
transforms a protective hearing into a spectacle.
It is a spectacle, and you're making it a spectacle. Like, you're not a stalking victim. Stop saying that. You're not a stalking victim. No one is stalking you. No one is following you around. The only time you guys have had any sort of contact as far as like being in the same area is when you initiated it twice. When you went to a goddamn bar where she was at and you didn't leave, and when you went to CrimeCon in the first place and you went right out, you knew she was going to be there. She told you she was going to be there in June. You went anyway. You got tickets later on. You're following her around. You're stalking her, not vice versa. You're the one going. She's not going on your shit. She's not commenting on yours. You're going on her shit. You're reading every single TikTok she's putting out, analyzing them, taking notes. You're stalking her, lady. Stop it.
Prioritizes. This is true. This media request prioritizes media interests over.
All right, so that's it for tonight. I wanted to give you guys just a taste of what I had watched. Obviously, you can go to Aiden's channel and watch all of his coverage. He decided. So he knew nothing about this person. He had never heard of her, allegedly. Didn't know about her, even though she has over 300,000 followers and she's big true crime lady. But there's a lot of people. I mean, the true crime YouTube world is huge right now. I learn a new person almost every day when I'm looking at Suzanne Morphew, Suzanne Clark Simpson, Ellen Greenberg. I'm constantly looking for information on their cases, and I find more content creators every day. So it's almost mind-boggling how many there are out there. So I don't blame him that he didn't know who she was, or I mean, I don't think anything bad about that at all. I didn't know. I only knew who she was because of the Lori Daybell trial. I had followed that a little bit. That was a tough one to follow because Lori is such a psychopath, and I really didn't want to give it any energy or give it any air. I mean, there was no doubt in anyone's mind she was going to get convicted and deserve to be, in a hole for the rest of her life. Evil, evil, evil bitch that she is. But she that was her big deal. And so I watched some of her coverage, and I really thought she did a good job. I mean, she used to be a journalist. She was paid to be on networks in the state of Utah. Sorry, got to get my electrolytes in me. So I respected that she was a journalist because that was my undergrad, and I did some work in journalism when I was younger and kind of used it in all my careers. That's the thing about the journalism majors. You can use it in many, many careers. So I respected that, and I wanted to see what her channel was about. So I watched her a little bit, off and on throughout different trials that she's covered. And when I heard about this, I was kind of like stunned at first, like, boy, this must be serious. I mean, I thought if Duty Ron is covering it, and he's, an ex-cop out of New York, and he's got his own channel, forgot the name of the gentleman, the forensic gentleman that he live streams with, but I've watched some of his channel. If he, is thinking she's being stalked, she must be being stalked. But then I'm like, no, stay in the middle, like you try to do, and don't make judgment. Go do your own research. So even though I've been quite ill the past 2 weeks, I have looked into this. And then someone told Aiden about it, and then he decided to cover it because it's, there's not a whole lot going on. There's only so much you can update. The updates that have come through for Sandra Birchmore, Ellen Greenberg, Suzanne Morphew, Anna Walshe, other than the big Proctor news this week, and then how that's going to affect the Miles King case with Attorney Scarpiccio. And other than, the other, we already knew that Sandra Birchmore, Matthew Farwell's trial is, his whole first hearing is pushed again now till God knows when. It's hard to fathom that poor young woman was killed all those years ago. Finally, he was arrested last August, but has yet to make any appearance. It's just shocking. I know it's a federal case, but it's still quite shocking. So we don't have a lot of updates on all these different cases we've been following. So, and neither does Aiden, obviously, other than his own, where Lindsay Gattani, all of the charges were dropped because of the debacle going on with the Commonwealth, as usual. So he decided to cover it. And so, like I said, he said he was going to stay neutral. That was the first day he covered it. I think that was either last Saturday's live, possibly. But then he got into it because he immediately started feeling like there was shenanigans involved on Lauren's end, whether there was or not yet. I don't know for sure. I have to finish watching it all. So I see that MCAT and Sarah D were both, definitely not buying what Lauren is selling. And I will finish doing my due diligence on this, and we will absolutely talk about it, because it's not drama. This is serious business. Being accused of stalking is no joke. You should absolutely never accuse someone of stalking if it's not true, because for those that are being stalked and they can't get an order because there's not enough bad things happening to them. A very dear friend of mine was stalked by an old boyfriend in a very dangerous manner. And I do believe the gentleman meant her harm. I do believe that she could have been unalived had she not gone underground practically. So there are women out there who are really being stalked. So to accuse someone of stalking, you better fucking be serious about it. You better have proof that the person's stalking you, and don't use the court system that way. If this is just a civil thing, if you feel if defamation of character is involved, you feel you're being bullied, cyber bullied to a level of civil, then take it to the civil court. Take it where it belongs. Don't waste the court's time with stalking and trying to put an order of protection against someone that could last for years and years. It could affect where they can go and what they can do. And that's what's happened here. This woman had purchased an $1,800 ticket to go to CrimeCon. And when they were still talking and friendly, Lauren knew that this one was already going, that she'd already purchased the ticket. It sounded like Lauren wasn't going to go. And then at the last minute bought a ticket and went anyway, knowing that this other woman would be there. Then it sounds like she put herself in her space on purpose. Now, if you're afraid of this person and you are going to court for a stalking order, and now you currently have a stay away order on this person, why would you do that? That's drama. That's mean girl bullshit. That makes no sense whatsoever. So it has to all be backtracked as to what started all this. The TikToks, how bad are they? Again, right of free speech for this person to say if she doesn't like Lauren anymore and to talk about her in a negative way if she chooses to. But it doesn't sound like any threats were made. It sounds like there was no violence ever made at all. There was no following her around in a car or being at her place of work or following her to her children's schools, things like that. Those are all stalking, instances of stalking. So we will talk about this again, because it can affect other live streamers. It has affected other live streamers. It's certainly affected people in the media, public figures. Some public figures have been unalived by their stalkers, as you know, very famous ones like John Lennon. And what was the name of that that young girl, she was in a very popular sitcom back in the day. She was unalived by her stalker. And Erin Andrews she used to be on ESPN and now she's, I think, Fox. She's had a stalker. I mean, it's serious business, guys. So that's why I wanted to talk about it. And we will continue this conversation next Friday Night Lies. I will let you know on my social media if I'm going to be on Misdemeanor on Monday. I haven't received the final yes yet, but I got the invite and I accepted it. So hopefully I will. And then we may be live next Wednesday. It's going to depend on how I'm feeling. I don't want to overdo it next week. If I'm going to be with Misdemeanor Monday, I probably won't go live on Wednesday. I have 2 cases that I'm going to introduce you to in the next month that I've spoken to the families. One of them is an old cold case where I've actually met, possibly he was the perpetrator's stepdaughter. She believes that he did it, but there was never enough evidence to convict him. So I will be introducing you to her. She's going to live stream with me. The investigator that actually investigated the case 20 years ago, she's going to come on and speak to us about it and her belief that she believed this person did it as well. And then we have a cold case that I want to honor the victim, this woman I've gotten to know through social media, Mary. It's her daughter and her grandson were unalived by the hands of someone else. And the person never was arrested. They were free for quite a while. It's just a very sad story. There's just no justice. There's no nothing for the family. And there was some weird police behavior having to do with them releasing the police reports and the autopsy reports of their loved ones. So I want to honor them, and those will be coming up on Wednesday night in the next couple of weeks as I start to feel better. So thank you, everyone. I appreciate you so much. I knew I would go over, so that's why I said I have to be done at 2 hours, because I knew I wouldn't. So 2 hours and 30 minutes. Not too bad. Thanks for all your great comments tonight in the live feed. Thanks to the replay. I appreciate you all so much. Please send me any questions, any topics you want covered. If there's any cases in your states that you want looked at, we will look at any case in any state. And always remember that it is just us at the end of the day. We have to be here for each other. We have to stand together regardless of our color, our vision for politics, or our religion. We can agree on one thing: my life mattered. Have a great week, everyone. Take care. See you soon.
They try to silence the truth we shout, but we're still here, we're still calling out. Corruption hides behind a badger name. We light the fire, expose the shame. We're justice seekers, we'll fight the fight for every voice lost in the night. My life mattered is the cry we sing for the ones they tried to bury within. It's just us, we're a movement wide. Together we rise, won't run nor hide. The stories echo, the pain runs deep. For stolen lives we can't just weep. Elected power, but their hearts are cold. We'll bring the truth, let it be told. We're justice seekers, we'll fight the fight for every voice lost in the night. My life mattered is the cry we sing for the ones they tried to bury within. It's just us, we're a movement wide. Together we rise, won't run nor hide. We're justice seekers, we'll fight the fight the heavy wounds, undo the harm. Calling out corruption, we'll stand tall for justice and truth. We'll risk it all. My life now.